Online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
A very good afternoon to you as we welcome you into Rochester's only local sports talk show. It's a sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester and the free-to-download Odyssey app and on a YouTube channel at the Fan Rochester. Gino, I wanted to start this afternoon with a special shout-out to my nephew Vincent's school bus in the Hilton School District. I gave them a show this morning when I was doing the driveway. I slipped. And I took a fall, man. I took a fall, and I feel all 50 years of my age after taking that fall. You know how you'll take a hit or you'll feel some pain, and the pain kind of like it affects your whole body. Like I was nauseous for a sec. I'll stop short of saying it felt like a kick to the you know what.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that bad, but it still was like ow. And I popped right up, and then I'm like lightheaded a little bit, and I feel a little nauseous after I just kind of like landed on my elbow and
so
my hip.
You did this in front of the school bus too?
I'm fairly certain it was simultaneous. As the school bus was driving by, I lost focus for 1 second, slipped on a patch of ice as I was trying to clear the driveway, and I actually fell twice. But the first time I fell, the snowblower kind of like broke my fall. Like I fell, but I was holding onto the snowblower, so the weight of the snowblower prevented me from completely falling. And then the second time I had the man plow, and I completely biffed.
All right, can you send me the neighborhood Goomba text chain? You know, the one with Richie C and Tony and Timmy Parmesan.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
All right, your neighbors.
What, my neighbors? I've never talked about my neighbors. What do you mean?
I seem to recall all these guys. Somebody, one of these neighbors, on their doorbell, they have to have footage of this, Danger.
I don't think so.
I would think so.
I don't
Somebody
think
has
so.
to have footage of you.
It's been a rough 6 months, man. Like I'm feeling my age. Whether you're talking about the attempted Billy Madison swing on the golf course at Greystone that ended in me basically watching my lower half blow out, my knee giving out, and me feeling like I felt like I tore my ACL. I didn't tear my ACL, but it felt like that kind of shooting pain. In doing that in front of my daughter and her golf teammates, like that was embarrassing enough. Mm-hmm. And then this happens today. I'm like, yeah, I am up there, man. I am not. I might act like I'm 12 on the inside and project that, but man, I feel every bit of 50 when I take a fall like that, and I'm still feeling it right now. I'm like, oh God, my arm is killing me.
Come on, stop being soft. We got a show to do.
Oh yeah, listen, I'm here, man. I'm here. I didn't call in.
Yeah.
No days off. I mean. No days off. It's actually, we should adopt that philosophy. For all of us should adopt that philosophy.
No days off. No days off.
I know. You want us to talk about NFL honors and Josh Allen. But no, not here. Not now. Not when Bill Belichick is there. And his girlfriend steals the show. Way to read the D, Bill. Way to read the D.
She's wearing, like, her dress is basically a piece of fabric that kind of crosses over a few key areas.
Would people view that dress and say classy or trashy? That's what I need to know. Like, do the other NFL wives and girlfriends look at that and look in disgust? Or look in envy? Do they say that is trashy or that is classy?
They, without question, say trashy.
Aha.
Yeah,
yes.
You don't need to advertise like that.
Yes.
It's Bill. Look at this. Look what I want. And furthermore, like, he's just trolling everybody. So the NFL, and I don't remember what year they did this, they rolled out their top 100 all-time NFL, and I guess he was part of it, right? And then everybody got a blazer. Not to be confused with the Patriot red blazer when they go to the Patriot Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because that was what he was wearing, a red blazer, right?
Right, but this is the NFL Top 100 blazer. And so he didn't go with a Patriot blazer. He went with Top 100. And, like, dude, okay, like, that was a few years ago, and it looked like you had a few milkshakes in between.
Yeah, look, I'm not a fashion icon. I'm not going to pretend to be one. We're certainly not GQ cover models here in the sports bar. But we can say this about Bill Belichick. He's always been sloppy. He's sloppy. He just
Without
dresses
question,
sloppy.
yeah.
He's just a sloppy dude. That's not something he really cares to pay attention to. That's fine. So you're saying that it was an ill-fitting red blazer.
It was a little ill-fitting.
Well, that's okay because what his girlfriend that was not
Yeah.
ill-fitting. Whew. We got a lot to get to here in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Joining us from New Orleans, our ears and eyes, RJ Ochoa. RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys, SB Nation. Hey, look, I mean, I'm certain we'll ask him some Cowboys questions, but more than anything, like, what's the scene? Paint a picture, man.
Yeah, he's been on Radio Row all week, so just want to kind of get the flavor of what it's like to be in New Orleans. We'll certainly talk to him a little bit about this game, what he's thinking, what he's hearing. And, yeah, like the Cowboys, like, they're a bigger letdown in sports this year than, well, I guess Maverick fans would say us. But, okay, beside that. Oh, gosh, it's Dallas altogether. What is the bigger letdown? Brian Schottenheimer or trading away Luka? My gosh. Thank goodness for them. Texas Rangers season's coming up. RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys coming up at 4:05.
We'll have Paul Hamilton stop by the sports bar from our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR in Buffalo, covering the Buffalo Sabres. We haven't had Paul on since August.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Yeah, I've seen him out at the stadium, so certainly, like, Paul also covers a little bit of the Buffalo Bills. We'll get his thoughts on Josh Allen win the MVP and what that means for Buffalo. But it is the first half of the season wrapping up for the Sabres, and my gosh, what was your favorite highlight? Was it the GM talking about taxes and palm trees? Was it your leading scorer getting laid out, no response?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
Tell us at 866-4FA.
Yeah, it's happening right now. It's a 4-game winning streak going into the break. And you have the game tomorrow night, and we'll see if they can extend it to 5.
I'm fearing, Paul, like we're saying, okay, change. This is what we want.
Nothing's going to change.
No.
Nothing's going to change. They're just going to wait for it to turn around. These guys are going to these kids are going to mature. They're eventually going to, show that they listen. It's going to happen. There's no issues here. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. This is the dog with the house burning around him.
Right.
This is fine. This is totally fine. They're going to miss the postseason again. No big deal. So there you go. Paul Hamilton stopping by in less than 20 minutes. You can pull up a stool and join us this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in ER. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
So I did watch a special last night. Danger, you did not. It was totally made for TV, and the light bulb kind of went off in my head yesterday, bringing up, like, wait a second, Josh Allen he's the favorite to win MVP. I'm like, really? Because Vegas is very smart.
A wide favorite. It was like minus 300.
And then you get there, and you're like, oh, red carpet, there's Josh's parents. Wait a second, Lamar isn't here. Yeah. This isn't the Oscars, Danger. They want to make it like that, but unlike the Oscars, I really do believe you don't know who's winning in any of those major award shows. Last night, everybody pretty much knew what was going to happen. And for Josh Allen and for Bills fans, I hope you got to just enjoy it. Sure, the ultimate goal, it didn't happen this year. Maybe it'll happen, with this current crew. But that was fun to see Josh Allen get the MVP. I thought his speech, he nailed it. That's not an easy thing to do for players that are not trained in this. Just see Justin Jefferson, who had a technical gaffe and he fumbled his way around. I mean, I thought it was just kind of a fun night if you just take it for what it is.
Take it for what it is, and it's further clarification to me. And I didn't watch it in real time, but I did go back and watch the acceptance speeches. And the only thing I thought, well, there was a couple thoughts I had. One, every acceptance speech was cut and paste. Like, you could have inserted Josh Allen's acceptance speech into Kevin O'Connell's acceptance speech. Like there's a pattern here. We're going to thank God first, then we're going to thank the ownership, we're going to thank the team, the coaches, and everybody, and we're going to work our way down to mom and dad, the family, and of course my beautiful wife or my beautiful fiance, whatever the case may be. You follow that pattern, and you're off that stage in about 60 seconds or so. When I saw Kevin O'Connell and Josh Allen ultimately have kind of like the same pattern of speech, like, okay, these guys don't really want to do this, but they were kind of coached. If you do it, here's how you do it. Or they just know, like, okay, baseline is this is the order that I will be thanking everybody in. That was my first thought. And then my second thought with Josh was that he did nail it. Like, he really, like, I imagine today upstate New York tattoo parlors' phones are ringing off the hook with people requesting, be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills. That's the quote you want to get tattooed today.
Holy cow. For an organization, he's talking about having the one thing that was a little different, and he's right. I think that as compared, I can only compare it to years past, like the vibe in the locker room and whatnot. It seems to be a team, and credit McDermott on this, that actually cares about it. So one another. So, like, yeah, caring about your teammates, that was something, and kind of going along with the whole Bills mantra of, all right, we're going to take care of our own. Be good, do good, go Bills. Yeah, that could be just kind of your slogan for next year. Another thing too, Danger, and you brought up Belichick earlier, and the thing about Belichick, could you get more public? And part of this is you. Actually, it is you. It's your girlfriend, selfies, everything else. And yes, for being in Hollywood, you didn't get really a peek. You got one Instagram post about the engagement, but pretty much Josh's private life is just that. It's his private life. And I thought last night, just watching the interactions with Haley and Josh, that was a dynamic we really haven't seen. You see Patrick Mahomes' wife out there front-facing, and that's just fine. You see Travis Kelce's girlfriend, couldn't get more public than that. Josh has been very private, and just to see his parents well up, to see his fiance well up, I thought that was all kind of cool.
Yeah, I get the sense that there's a mutual support happening between the two of them, that they are really good for each other, that she understands, what he is going through, the pressure that comes with being in the limelight, because she's done the same thing. She's a performer. She knows about entertainment. So, and while he's doing his best work, arguably she's going to be doing her best work here as she continues to mature and get more opportunities, whether it be in Hollywood or the stages of Broadway, whatever career she wants to go, whatever path she wants to go, she's going to go because she's talented. The overall vibe of the award show to me, Gene, was, and you said this, I mean, like, we acknowledge that the NFL is a made-for-TV product. And most made-for-TV products or entertainment products have their own award show. So the NFL should be no different than the Grammys or the Oscars or the People's Choice Awards or the Emmys. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a commercial for the NFL, but it had all the same trappings that you would have for any of those award shows. And if you're a made-for-TV product, I see what the NFL is doing here. And I think every year we're going to talk about NFL honors just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Well, and I think part of this, too, because you got to be careful when Vegas, and you can't bet on things like this in New York State, but in Nevada you certainly can. The idea, and I didn't know they did this, here are the ballots. Here's the actual voting. Hey, that's kind of welcome. Like Josh Allen. All right, he got the majority of first place votes, and a few people voted for Sean McDermott. You got to see the breakdown there, and I guess there are only 50, right, that can vote for the MVP, and one of those guys being a friend of our show, Armando Salguero. And this was 2 years ago. I asked him the question. We voted for him. He was adamant.
No.
You cannot ask. I'm not telling you. And now you understand kind of why. Like, that would be kind of a big deal if you could swing things.
It's out there now. The AP published it, or the NFL published it, I should say. I don't know. I mean, if you listen to what some of these voters are saying, they didn't realize that their votes were going to be made public. And if they would have known that, maybe they would not have voted.
Hey, that shouldn't – how does that enter your thought process? Like, you're going to vote. somebody asks you, you should be able to defend as long as you have a reason.
Right.
If you want to say Saquon Barkley was the MVP, back it up. Just like how we talk on our show. And also, to anybody that voted for Lamar
But Gino, you know how this goes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
know.
you know the world that we live in right now, and there's still a lot of it happening almost 24 hours after the award was dished out. Lamar versus Josh versus Lamar. And so if you're somebody that voted for Lamar over Josh and you really take offense to that, now you're going to troll this person. It's not fair. Although I will say there is one guy I'm going to give a little bit of attention to later on this hour because I think he's looking for it. I think he's seeking it, and we'll give it to him.
Okay, that's fair. But for people that are, I don't know if doom scrolling is the right word, but just digging up stuff that was said over the year that might be disparaging about Josh Allen and firing back, like, dude, let it go.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I'm not into that. I like the NFL doing this because, yeah, in baseball writer, there was a baseball writer who didn't put Ichiro Suzuki on the ballot.
We should know who that person is.
Right, and that person, if they said, here's the reason why, but maybe it's an angle we're not seeing.
Baseball writers should be held to the same standard. I actually love that they publish these votes.
You are a coward.
Yeah.
You are a coward. If you have the privilege to vote for something like that, then you know what? Put your name on it.
That's right. I agree 100%. And if baseball writer is listening, you should be held to the same standard that the NFL AP voters are. We want to see your votes.
Why is a baseball writer gassy as compared to
He's just full of hot air. He's just full of hot air. He can't help himself. You know, I mean, when you're up there in the box and they have the spread of nothing but hot dogs and you know, pulled pork sandwiches and hot air, it's bound to happen. Baseball writer. We got to make it transparent. They got to publish those votes. They take a page out of what the NFL did here. And I don't know that all these voters knew that their votes were going to be made public, but they're out there, and you can kind of see who was thinking what about who. And there's a couple that I look at. I'm like, what the F were you thinking, pal? But we'll get into that in a little bit.
And look, I mean, if you're going to put it out there, in no way can anything be personal. But I think over the years in baseball, a lot of it was personal. See Barry Bonds and some other guys that weren't in there. Another thing from Josh, and this hit me last night. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, you know where we're going to go with this.
Nobody cares when you're right, Gino.
Well,
Nobody cares when you're right.
Well, you tell me if I'm right or not
Yeah.
here. Because going back to Fisher in the summer, when we're talking about, hey, all these things the Bills lost, and how are they going to replace wide receivers 3, 4, and 5, and how do you replace Diggs, and who is going to step up the safeties? My gosh, what a mess, and everything else. And my take, I've been steadfast with this. Look, we see the potential with Josh Allen. If Josh Allen plays to an MVP level, he will lead this team to great places.
Super Bowl.
It still wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
Like the great Kendrick Lamar will sing during halftime in New Orleans, it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Few solid people left, but it's not enough. It's not enough. You had Josh Allen at an MVP level, and it wasn't enough. I guess he's just going to have to play at an MVP level again next year, Gene. Maybe next year's we're going to keep kicking down the door.
Well, keep in mind this was supposed to be the transition year, and the talent was down. And yeah, we'll build ourselves up over free agency, the draft, and spring practices, training camp. It's just a long, long way ahead. And we don't want to wish away time, but wow. I never thought we'd have an MVP again in Buffalo, Danger, honestly. Like, it's just kind of really a special thing. And to see Josh Allen up there accept the award last night, particularly after Lamar Jackson was voted the first-team All-Pro, first time in a year where the vote wasn't split. It was split in 2003. You got to go back to John Elway.
Yeah.
Last time that happened.
The only thing that didn't get brought up that I thought would be brought up is, hey, this is great, but this isn't exactly, this is like when Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. You could tell he's like, not really sure how I should feel about getting this twice, getting this nomination twice.
Well, like you said, though, the NFL wants, I think that was probably coached like, hey, don't downplay this.
Because you could kind of see on his face, like you knew he was appreciative, but at the same time, that dude's a killer. He wants that Super Bowl. You know know he wants that Super Bowl. I don't think it's just lip service from Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen truly believes that he's going to bring a Super Bowl to the people of Buffalo, and every time it doesn't happen, he just feels a little bit more down about it, right? Like, his body language after this loss against Kansas City was, I felt so bad for the guy. I actually, believe, whether it's an act or I don't think it's an act, I'm like, no, he's devastated. That's tough.
The day after was tough.
And he's still, I think he's still wearing some of that. He just won the MVP, and he gave a great speech.
He has to sit there and listen to Snoop crack a joke about it.
Right.
Like, you're not following the path of Jim Kelly, except they actually got the Super Bowls.
Right. Yeah.
So
highly inconvenient to be doing what Josh Allen is doing in the age of Patrick Mahomes. Been saying it a long time, and maybe it isn't enough. Maybe they do need a little bit more. Maybe they just need some sort of lucky break for Kansas City to take a step backwards.
Keep in mind this. Now, the voting took place when? After the season? I'm trying to put a bright spot on this, right? What if the Bills made it to the Super Bowl? You wouldn't have Josh Allen accepting the speech.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have any of that last night. So, not that it's a very flimsy consolation prize, but it would have looked a lot different.
Well, it's just another notch in the belt for a guy that I think a lot of people in Western New York feel very, very proud to call ours. And he's done a great job from the moment he was drafted of embracing this region, being kind of like there's no more famous person in Western New York, in the state of New York right now than Josh Allen. Is that fair? In the state of New York?
State of New York.
If Josh Allen's in New York City, he's getting
recognized.
He's getting recognized. And,
Yeah.
and is there anybody more popular in the state of New York right now than Josh Allen? I can't think of anybody.
No, that's why he and Haley went to Paris. They're going to go disappear or whatever.
Right.
Leave us alone.
We got to get to Paul Hamilton. We'll get a little Sabres talk in here before their final game before the break, which is tomorrow night in Nashville. Paul Hamilton, our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR in Buffalo. Our guest next on the Fan Rochester.
For the first time since Thurman Thomas in 1991, the Buffalo Bills have an MVP. He is Josh Allen.
And I know this is an individual award and it says most valuable player on it, but I think it's derived from team success, and I love my team. D-Dog, thank you for presenting. I really appreciate it. We've got such a great locker room in Buffalo, and it takes everybody. It truly takes everybody to have team success, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of a great organization.
Allen edging out Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Amherst hockey tonight. The only game this weekend is Belleville coming in. Don Stevens will have the call. The coverage beginning at 7 o'clock tonight. Coming up next, we'll talk some Sabres and hockey in general. Paul Hamilton, WGR, joining us. Sabres in Nashville tomorrow night. RIT the first of 2 tonight as Holy Cross is the opponent. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I think it's been a step in the right direction for sure. I think we're focusing on doing the right things night after night and just playing a game that we can replicate. And I think that's been good for us. Still got a lot of work to do, obviously, but I think it's definitely moving in the right direction, and we just got to keep working on it, keep working on the small details, and if we do that, we're going to be fine.
Sabres forward Jason Zucker. Sabres on a 4-game win streak heading into Nashville tomorrow night. We welcome in from our Odyssey Sports sister station in Buffalo, WGR, Paul Hamilton, covering the Sabres, covering the Bills. We'll talk about the Sabres, but first let's talk about the big news of the day, Paul. And Gino and I were just having a chuckle that before the season started, Gene said, you know what, if Josh Allen can play at an MVP level, they will go. This team will go to places they haven't been to in a long time. Well, half of it got done. It just wasn't enough. How are you, Paul?
I'm well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Yeah, Paul, like what, tell us. Let's start just kind of with that. It's kind of a special day for Western New York when you get an MVP. Your thoughts on Josh Allen getting that award?
Well, I don't really get why people don't understand why Lamar Jackson was the all-pro quarterback and Josh Allen was the MVP. I mean, I'm just seeing most people think one of those guys should have been both, and I would disagree. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson probably was the best player in the NFL, which made him the first team All-Pro. But the definition of the MVP is who's most valuable to his team. And Josh Allen, by far, is more valuable to his team than Jackson or any other player in the NFL this year. So to me, it made perfect sense why it broke down the way it did. That Josh Allen won the MVP and Lamar Jackson was first team All-Pro. I mean, that's exactly the way it should have been. And a lot of people are having trouble with that concept, and I guess I'm just wondering why.
Yeah, it is interesting, and the debate continues online, and I try to avoid it as much as possible. I look at how, and by the way, I mean, like Josh Allen playing the way he's playing, not just this season, but every season that he's been in the postseason. I mean, you look at the end of the season, and it's highly inconvenient that the Bills and Josh Allen are playing this well at a time of the Patrick Mahomes dynasty, is it not?
Yeah, exactly. And it's more than just Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is a great quarterback. There's no question about that. But for me, it's just a question of there's really no chance that Sean McDermott is going to outcoach Andy Reid or his defensive coordinator. I mean, they just every year. I mean, look at what Andy Reid did this year. The Bills defense is saying, well, we've never seen Mahomes run those plays that he ran. And, you know, when he scored on those running plays and everything, we've never seen that before. And on defense, it's like, well, every time they've set up for that play, the rush has come from the right side. Well, it came from the left side.
Yeah.
And that's what the Chiefs do. They do the unexpected. They do the thing that you've never seen on tape. The Bills never do that. I mean, the Chiefs coaches are never confused by what the Bills are doing, and the Bills certainly did move the ball, but the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs had that up his sleeve to use it at just the right time, and that's exactly what he did. He needed a play to be made then, so he used that specific blitz, changed the sides of it. The Bills, of course, aren't going to be able to handle it, and that's what the Chiefs do every year to Sean McDermott and his staff. And the Chiefs just have better coaches. And I'm not saying that Sean McDermott is a bad coach. He has changed the culture of the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills would not be where they are if it wasn't for him. But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and the very big game, that's when he's just not going to get it done, especially when he's up against coaches like Andy Reid and the Chiefs defensive coordinator. They are going to outfox him every single time and outcoach him every single. So that's where it lies. That's where the problem is.
Paul Hamilton, who is at the airport getting ready to go to Nashville, where the Sabres will be finishing out here before the break. Paul, this to kind of compare the Amerks and Sabres. So I'm not sure if you saw this story from a few weeks ago with the Amerks, but it's a game in Hartford, and Sandstrom, it was a little bit of history going back to a game in November, but guy from Hartford shoots the puck after the whistle blows heading to the second intermission. You know what? That's not acceptable. And with the history, from the game back in November, you had a line fight. You had the two goalies. That was the Amerks in a tie game kind of standing up for their teammate. And we all applauded here. You know what? You went out and won the game anyways. Rosanna hat trick. I digress. I compare that to what happened or didn't happen in Buffalo, and I just was kind of stunned. And I'll just kind of ask you the question as I have this lead up to it. What were your thoughts after the Sabres? Yeah, they won the game over New Jersey, but the lack of response to the hit to one of your leaders there.
Well, these are NHL players. They shouldn't have needed a meeting the day after to fill them in on what the appropriate response should have been. It should have been ingrained in their minds. I mean, any of us that have played hockey at a decent level know that it's just automatic. You don't sit there and say to yourself, okay, wait a minute, what's the score here?
Yeah.
Should I? Or you don't sit here and say to yourself, I'm only 5'9", 165 pounds. It doesn't matter. It just should be reflex.
Yep.
That you're gone, you're at it. If the guy's bigger than you, so be it. You're going to take a beating. You'll live. I mean, it's just you show up every single time, and it should just be something that you do. And there's 4 guys on the ice, and none of them did it. And I know Kulik saw it. I know Zucker didn't because his back was turned, and you could see when he turned around, you could see by his body language him saying, what just went on here? He had no idea really what went on, but I know Kulik saw it. And I don't know if Samuelson or Power saw it, but guess what? As you said, you saw a line brawl. If you get a line brawl going, one of you is going to have the guy who did it. I mean,
yeah.
So it's just you just spray. And Samuelson did say afterwards he regretted the way he handled it, and but still, that doesn't really do anything. And Tage Thompson's first time he spoke was today. It's the first time he's been back at practice, and he said, it's been addressed. We've talked about it. He didn't want to go any further than that, whether he was upset with the lack of response or anything like that. So, that's that. But it's inexcusable, and that's something that Matthias Samuelson may not come back from with the fans in this town and everything. He wasn't a real liked person anyway as far as the way he plays, and neither is Owen Power.
Yeah.
And I don't think they help themselves at all, and especially in Samuelson's case, they may have to move him because I just don't know if he's going to be able to recover from this in this town.
So, Paul, then the response comes against Columbus, and we see it within 3 seconds. As it's happening, I'm like, God, tell me you're an unserious organization without telling me you're an unserious organization. Like, we all kind of see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's just and if Dennis Gilbert been on the ice when all that happened, it would have been a whole different response.
Sure.
I mean, there's no question Dennis Gilbert has his teammates' backs. There's no question that he will show up for teammates, and he's done it already in the past, but he wasn't on the ice at the time. So nobody on that team doubts the type of teammate Dennis Gilbert is. I mean, he has nothing to prove. He's already proven it. And I'm not a fan at all of staged fights at all. I would rather talk about the good plays Dennis Gilbert made on that. He had a great assist for Alex Tuck's goal at 2 key block shots. I couldn't care less if he, fought 3 seconds into the game, no matter whose idea it was. I'm not criticizing him at all. I mean, he's doing probably what, he's told to do or whatever it might be. And, because he's a Sabre and he does whatever it takes, whatever he's asked to do. So, however that went down, but I'm not a real fan of, staged fights like that. And, that to me accomplished nothing.
Paul Hamilton, WGR, on his way to Nashville, where tomorrow night we'll have that game for you. Sabres taking on the Predators. Paul, in a year where you had, lack of response, palm trees, taxes, and unless you tell me otherwise, I'm not entertaining some late run here, magical run in March and April. Where do we go from here? I mean, is this just a matter of, okay, it's Lindy and Kevin Adams, for that matter, both working here to save their jobs?
Kevin Adams right now should not have a job. He as soon as that garbage went down a couple of games ago, I mean, he's already assembled the worst team in the Eastern Conference. He's been here almost 5 years in June. That's plenty of time. Most GMs would be gone by now. And you've already assembled a team that is in last place, buried in last place. I mean, here they are. They've won 5 out of 7, and they're still haven't passed anybody. And, so that alone, you say to yourself, well, do you want him making the trades at the trade deadline? I mean, come on. He's already shown this job he can't handle this job. He's already shown he can't get a top 6 forward that they need. They've needed it for 2 years, at least 2 years, and he's come up with nothing. So, and then this happens. And now, all right, you've already assembled a team that is not very good. Now you've assembled a team that doesn't stand up for each other, which just turns my stomach to see. How are you still in charge of this team? I just don't get it. Now, I maybe understand why from the fact that when Jason Botterill was fired, remember Terry Pegula said, we just felt that we weren't being heard. And with Kevin Adams, Terry Pegula is being heard. And if Kevin Adams remains the general manager, then that tells me that Terry Pegula thinks it's more important to be heard than have a good team. So, it's, to me, the ball's in his court. And I also wonder if guys like Byram and Zucker and who else, and this is me wondering, this isn't me talking to them and them telling me this, if they're waiting to see what direction is this franchise going to be going in, who's going to be running it before they commit to, anything further down the line.
Yeah, and it's already tough. I mean, we don't have palm trees. We have high taxes, so it's already tough to get players here. And, now you've got a potential change at the organization. Again, Paul, and what we're talking about here, too, is you're right. He's been here for 5 years. We saw a lack of stand-up for I think it was a Darlene hit last year. I remember you and I talking about that on the air as well, where nobody came to his defense after he got his head bashed in. So it's certainly a character issue in terms of how these guys look out for each other. And you mentioned a guy like Sammy, and we've heard rumors that Dylan Cousins is somebody that might be on the block, and there's a handful of teams interested in him. But then you bring up the point of, you're going to let that guy make trades and make moves at the trade deadline? This could get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and Dylan Cousins isn't on the block. They're not shopping him, but when somebody calls, he'll listen, and well, he should. I would too. I mean, if somebody calls for the trade, I'd say, okay, what do you got? And that's kind of what's happening here. But he's not actively shopping him and saying, all right, here's Dylan Cousins, what's the highest offer, and we'll take it. It's just, if he's part of a deal that makes sense. I mean, you look at the young talent that they have. You have Kulik, who is better at center. You got Hellenius, who they are very high on, that they just drafted. So there are other young centers. Plus, maybe in a trade like that, you might get a center back. Maybe you'll get a guy that can play behind. I was going to say Thompson. Now maybe it's behind Kulik. As a centerman, but they're not just saying, all right, we're trading Dylan Cousins. Let's see what we can get for it. But they have to be open to almost anything as far as that goes. But if he's still here now, so that I don't know. Maybe I don't know what that tells us. I don't know if that tells us that, okay, he's not going anywhere because Terry Pagula wants to be heard. And if he brings in a solid general manager with experience, that general manager is going to want to do what he wants to do. And maybe Terry Pagula will go back to being not heard again, and he's not going to like that. So I don't think he's ready to hand the keys over to somebody like he did with McDermott. He took a big chance with that, but it worked. It worked for him to do it. But I don't know if he's willing to do that on the hockey side because, as I mentioned, he wants to be heard.
Paul, you were here for the glory days of the first time making it to the final of covering Lindy Ruff. And now we get Lindy 2.0. And, gosh, is he a part of this going forward? I mean, is he the right coach for a team that's going to be in transition? And I'm also wondering, had Lindy actually saw what would actually be happening this year, if he actually would have signed up for this, if he's the right guy to dig the Sabres out of this?
I doubt it. He's not having fun, that's for sure. And it frustrates the heck out of him that he has a group of guys that sometimes play the way he wants them to and have probably for the last 7 games, but it's also like, well, there's not a lot of pressure on them now either. But that I know frustrates him. And, I would say who could coach this group? Not a good hockey team. These aren't good hockey players. They don't do what they're asked to do, and they've done it now with a couple of different coaches. And then they show if they do play the way the coach wants them to play, they're a pretty good hockey team, but they almost refuse to do it, or they can't figure out how to do it, or whatever it may be. So, it's as painful as it is for a team that hasn't been in the playoffs for 14 years. They have a makeover coming because they've just been sitting with this same group now for 2.5 years, and it's going absolutely nowhere. And the standings tell us, and that's what it should be telling us, that it's not getting any better. It's actually getting worse.
Paul, we're biased, but can you project a future for Seth Appert? It can't get any worse, right? I mean, if we're saying it can't get any worse, how about the guy that worked with these guys when they were all here in Rochester?
Some people feel and felt that the reason he was brought up here is Lindy maybe only wanted to do this for a year or two more, and he could kind of bring up his successor. And so that's a possibility. Maybe that is a possibility. It's also a possibility that maybe Lindy Ruff will have had enough after 1 year. Who knows? We'll see after that 1 year is over. Maybe he would retire. So, yeah, that's been talked about. And you hear whispers about that they possibly brought him up to groom him to be the next head coach.
I'm just wondering with the Bills now being totally out of this. I have no idea. Terry Pagula doesn't speak. He doesn't hold press conferences. It's hard, but you talk to a lot of people around the organization there, Paul. I would just love to – is there any insight whatsoever about Terry Pagula, or is he just – content on the bottom line here? As you mentioned before, hey, as long as he's being heard, I guess everything's fine.
Yeah, it seems like that's what he wants. I mean, as you said, he doesn't talk, so he doesn't let us know his feelings, and hasn't spoken since he made that statement that, with Jason Botterill, they felt they weren't being heard. That was the last time he spoke on the Buffalo Sabres. So nobody knows really what he's thinking or what he's doing, or maybe he's waiting to the end of the year, but I think that's dangerous business. That if you have it in your head that you might change general manager at the end of the year, why would you let this general manager go through the trade deadline? So he keeps you guessing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Paul, it is great. Man, we were having a fun conversation talking about the Bills and Josh Allen and then the Sabres. Man, and you're in the blast zone certainly more than we are. I mean, the Amerks are winning games, so we're pretty excited about what's happening here in Rochester, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing you later on this season, at Blue Cross Arena again.
Well, the Sabres have won 4 in a row for the first time in 2 years.
It doesn't feel like it, though.
There you go.
It doesn't feel like it. Yeah, I know, but even when they win, it feels like a loss.
Paul, are you a guy that goes out?
They played 7 games in a row pretty well. They've won 5 of them, so there you go.
Are you going out in Nashville tonight, Paul?
Yeah, we're heading to Nashville we actually, it's very convenient in Buffalo. We do have a direct flight to Nashville,
Yeah.
so we'll hopefully be boarding that pretty soon and be on the way.
Well, Paul, thanks for the time this afternoon. Have safe travels. Enjoy the break, and we'll talk to you again soon, bud.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
You got
Thanks,
it. There's Paul Hamilton, WGR, our Odyssey Sports sister station, covering the Bills, covering the Sabres. Everything changed. You start talking about the Sabres, and everybody's mood just gets salty. It sucks.
Well, gosh, it's different for you and I because I feel like we have a relationship with Seth. And is he going to be the guy that is going to help clean this up? Is there an opportunity, or is he collateral damage?
I think there's an opportunity. I don't know what they're waiting for, actually. I mean, I know Lindy Ruff is a legend, and everybody loves Lindy Ruff. His message isn't connecting with the players. Now, Seth is a part of his staff, so he could probably maybe there's a reason why. I don't know. I don't understand how, if Seth is part of his staff, the message still isn't getting through to the guys, especially the guys. Well, the guys that came up with Seth are mentioned Kulik, Rosane. Sammy's a little bit of a problem. I'm a little worried about Sammy.
Well, the point is, like, it's this, in my opinion. Whoever the players are, they're not cutting it. You need changes here. You need changes with the GM, as Paul said. Why isn't this happening? You hired Aquinas grad Pete Gawelli, and when we first talked to him, he had this big agenda. What's number one on the agenda? PSLs at the new stadium.
Right.
New stadium this, new stadium that. It's an afterthought, Danger. It totally is an afterthought, the Buffalo Sabres. It's not the moneymaker. In fact, you lose money on it. So at this point, I'm not saying it's a Francesa for the Sabres, but in the big picture, yeah, they've got bigger fish to fry.
That isn't it crazy how magnanimous the NFL is. It's just so gigantic. It just consumes. You're in the same orbit as the NFL, and there's just no competing with it.
That's why I was surprised. There was two courses of action. Maybe you credit Pagula for doing this. Hey, we actually need a cash influx. Option one, sell Sabres, Bandits, Amerks et al. Option two, invite in minority partners, which they did. By doing that, it kind of, in my mind, puts to rest. All right, unless somebody knocks your socks off, the Sabres not getting sold.
All right, we've got to take a break. We're going to check in with RJ Ochoa.
Yes, RJ Ochoa, who is down in New Orleans, blogging the boys. We'll kind of get a scene setter. We've got takes on the other side. And then maybe next hour we'll have time for your calls at 866-4326.
You're listening. 9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Josh Allen becomes the first Buffalo Bill to win the MVP since Thurman Thomas in 1991. Allen edging out Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Hockey night tonight in the Flower City as Belleville comes to town. Head coach Mike Leone of Rochester on the opponent.
They've had a lot of guys out of the lineup, and they've been really competitive. You know, they're a well-coached team. They're really good on special teams, and it's a tough matchup for us, so we got to make sure we're mentally and physically engaged to compete because that team works, and they got some guys. It's a good measuring stick game to come back from break.
Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will have the call here on the Fan beginning at 7 tonight. The Sabres one last game before the break as they play in Nashville tomorrow night. RIT the first of two this weekend as Holy Cross comes to the Policini. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
And the AP most valuable player is Josh Allen.
Be good, do good. God bless, and go Bills.
Super Bowl 59. It is the Eagles versus the Chiefs.
Let's go!
Mike Danger.
I would love to see Saquon win. I'm rooting for the Eagles because of one player, and that player is Saquon Barkley. I want to see that dude get a ring. If Saquon gets a ring, then I'll be happy for him. Eagles by at least 4 scores with Shark on Sharkley in the cave.
Gene Battaglia.
I can't root for the Chiefs under any circumstance. They are right alongside the Patriots. Congratulations. In my mind, 81-0.
Oh, 81-0 Philadelphia? Yeah, I think I was a little bit more conservative. I went 59-13 Eagles. 59-13.
On Sunday, the executive producer and I are going to the Memorial Art Gallery.
You're pre-gaming at the Memorial Art Gallery.
MoMA.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the sports bar. Super Bowl Sunday on deck. I'm looking forward to the food. You heard our predictions. 59-13 Eagles.
No, you're being too conservative.
I'm
81-0.
I'm sorry, yes.
81-0.
That's exactly right.
I yeah, if you came, what's your prediction on the game? I'm like, I just don't have the heart to do it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you want me to pick the Chiefs? Yay.
Gun to my head, 27-17 Eagles. But I really want to say, 59-13 Eagles. My heart tells me 59-13 Eagles. My head tells me, oh, God, they're going to three-peat, aren't they?
You're going to three-peat. I'm going to say Chiefs by 7, 30-23.
Well, look, you know what? I imagine that being down there, even if you're not a Chiefs or an Eagles fan, just being a part of the action is something. And our guy is down there right now, our ears and eyes today in New Orleans. RJ Ochoa, we've had on the sports bar a bunch of times, blogging the boys at SB Nation. And, dude, you've got the opportunity to be there at the Super Bowl. We're all kind of jealous, even though our team isn't represented.
Hey, guys, great to be with you. Congratulations to Josh Allen and all those who rightfully believed from the very start. And a big old you-know-what to the losers who doubted. I will say, I come in bearing gifts because I'm rooting for the three-peat. I don't want to be down here and watch the Eagles win this thing. That would be a terrible end to a week.
You're a Cowboys guy. Of course, you can't say the Eagles are going to win. I mean, we get it, man. We get it. You understand why we're saying Eagles, and I understand why you're saying Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a Kobayashi Maru. So shout out to Spock, obviously, for designing this for us to just live in eternal hell with. It's been quite the week. I've been fortunate to be at a few of these things, and I've never been to one in New Orleans. And, I've probably put on 15 pounds. I think I've eaten my weight alone in gumbo.
Well, I mean, for the Danger, you've been to New Orleans.
Gumbo
right?
is fantastic.
Yeah, I've never
shrimp
been
étouffée. I mean, get out of here.
RJ, how would you compare New Orleans to other Super Bowl places you've been to?
Honestly, my favorite was probably Houston. I really loved it. It just kind of worked well and sang together. I'm an Astros fan, and so some of that was that opening night was on the floor at Minute Maid Park or whatever the hell they're calling it now. But Miami was a little too big and boisterous for me. Minnesota was super cold. I'm from deep South Texas. I'm not cut out for it. You guys are a lot stronger and tougher than I am. And last year in Las Vegas was cool, but the Super Bowl honestly felt kind of small in a town, such as Vegas. So this feels right. I think it's the 12th Super Bowl that New Orleans has hosted, and so everything kind of feels normal in the best possible NFL-y sort of way.
I remember when we used to get things during Super Bowl week. We would get little morsels, little nuggets, and it feels like through the course of the week and media day, and like the storylines are few and far between, that it's really just about what's going to happen on Sunday. But I do think the health of some of these Philadelphia Eagles is worth mentioning. What have we learned through the course of this week about these lineups when they take the field on Sunday, RJ?
Yeah, well, we've learned that illness is a thing that makes its way down, and I can be a personal sort of testimony to that. Something has bit me. I don't sound this sexy on purpose. It's whatever the flu or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I think that somebody made a great point. I saw a tweet that I think we think of this game and these teams and what they have, and we think of the Eagles' offensive line and how amazing they are. And I know that illness or injury isn't really impacting that group, but they did give up 7 sacks to the Rams in the divisional round, and I think that's kind of the most underrated element of this whole game. I know that doesn't work with y'all's agenda, but that's where I'm at. And it was honestly also kind of strange. I mean, as you know, they've got like all the dudes on the podiums and stuff. It was kind of weird to see like Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy and these players that feel like they haven't really been a part of the Chiefs' weird season, that they have obviously at full health and, to the full capacity this week. It just kind of speaks to how they've, built the plane as they've been flying, so to speak.
You mentioned it's been a weird season. A lot of us up here in Western New York fell into that trap because, my gosh, you can point to, a half dozen games, how the Buccaneers mismanaged, the doink by the Chargers, a blocked field goal against Denver. I mean, we could point to any number one of the Raiders. RJ, is this the game where maybe finally the law of averages, happens, or are the Chiefs really one of the best dynasties of all time here in the NFL we're witnessing?
I mean, not to try to sell the game because it takes care of that on its own, but I do think, and it really bums me out to say this, I do think that the Eagles are probably the most equipped team to handle that. And I think that was really evidenced by the game we saw 2 years ago. Philly played a perfect game for 98% of it, right? And just blinked once, and that was enough, right, for Kansas City to ultimately capitalize on. And so I do think that we talk a lot about just kind of generally how there's value to having been here before and how that helps the Chiefs now because they're just so accustomed to playing in this game and all the pomp and circumstance that comes with it. I think that there is a similar value, obviously, to Philly having lost it to this team. They know how close to the sun they flew. And they know, obviously, the perils and the pitfalls that they fell into. And I promise, I mean this with respect, it's why the Bills went to 4 Super Bowls in the mid-'90s in a row, because they were able to obviously lock in and lock down. Obviously, it didn't work out, but there is value to that. And I think that in that weird sense, Philly has a greater chance than, say, Detroit would have had, just because I think the moment might have been too big for them.
He is RJ Ochoa, blogging The Boys, SB Nation, joining us from New Orleans, covering the Super Bowl, and joining us here in the Sports Bar. RJ, when we think about that AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs, I'm curious to get your view as somebody who watched it from the outside. If you're assessing blame as to why the Bills lost that game, ultimately, who are you pointing the finger at?
Man, well, anyone pointing the finger at Dalton Kincaid is dumb and stupid, and I hope that you two have held their feet to the fire. But I mean, I think we don't have to blame anyone. That's a weird kind of hill I've died on often with the Cowboys. In that, like we look at this Chiefs team, and I don't have to tell you all this, and I don't mean to rub your noses in it, but we look at them as it's Mahomes and it's Andy Reid. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo is as much a part of this run as anybody, and I think he just got one over. I think he just had the right moment, and just there's no shame in that. You know what I mean? There's no fault to be displaced. There's no nobody who has to kind of die at the cross for it all. It was just, hey man, if Patrick Mahomes is Michael Jordan, and obviously at this point in time that comparison feels fair, somebody has to be the Utah Jazz. And there was no shame in being John Stockton and Karl Malone in the mid-'90s. And again, I hate to say it that way, but that might just be who the Bills are right now.
Well, the one thing we don't entertain on our show are, hey, the refs are fixing this. There's a Chiefs conspiracy. But, RJ, can we ask for better officiating? You're right in there in the middle of all this NFL conversation down there, and it just seemed like there is a lot of it. You saw the jokes last night on the NFL Honors Show. I mean, this isn't good for the league that we're kind of questioning some things that, through technology you might be able to fix here.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, I'm a big English Premier League fan. I'm a big tennis fan, and we look at those sports and the technology they use to track the same sort of things that we're interested in relative to this sport. And I understand that there are circumstances, with a pile around the ball and things like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I forget who ultimately put it this way to me a few years ago. This is I'm like a multi-billion-dollar thing, and they measure the distances with chains. You know what I mean? Like that's like it's absurd when you say it out loud like that. I mean, there was the Gene Steratore index card game that I personally loved. Now, whatever it was, 8 years ago, and so I don't entertain that idea either. I do certainly agree that it's weird and it's it feels coincidental on some level. But yeah, I think that I think fans deserve better, and it's because we've complained about this as a football fandom for a long time, like even before this dynastic run began. So. Maybe chains are not the way to ultimately measure the highest level of precision in the year 2025.
RJ, walk us through your level of emotion while the Cowboys were looking for their next head coach, from McCarthy not renewing to talk of Prime to ultimately Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh, man, I don't think we have that much time.
We're here for you, RJ. We're listening.
Yeah, I think the best way to kind of answer this is to tell you that if I have to walk into the Eagles locker room as Super Bowl champions on Sunday night, I really won't care. And I hate that. I really do. I mean, this team has really just kind of broken my spirit, and I think I speak for a lot of fans in that sense. Not narcissistically, of course, but it was – I thought the way they handled McCarthy, not just in that, 2-week run or whatever it was, but throughout all of 2024 from the moment they lost to the Packers in the playoffs, I thought it was really unkind. I mean, to put it very lightly. And beyond being unkind, it was incredibly inefficient, and it costed themselves. And I'm happy that McCarthy seemingly stood up for himself. And so the Coach Prime thing to me felt very Cowboys-ish. And to be clear, the Cowboys don't do things like that anymore. People think like, oh, they're the Cowboys. They'll do stuff like that all the time. They don't, which is why it felt so hollow from the very beginning. I will say that was the idea I most wanted them to pursue. Just because at this point, man, like, at least let us have some fun. If this is going to be a circus, like, at least give us some popcorn and some peanuts and let us enjoy the ride. To land on Brian Schottenheimer, the way it all materialized was just so disheartening. I mean, it just really it's hard to look forward to football season. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I love football, and I've been fortunate to make a career out of it. But they really, really, really have proven that they are fine just going about things their way. And it's difficult to understand or believe that their way is going to finally be right, the 30th time because they want it to be. So, yeah, I mean, baseball season's coming around the corner. We got that going on at least.
Well, I was just wondering, like, if I'm trying to be positive for you and Cowboy fans is, well, when Sean McDermott got hired in Buffalo, people were just like, oh, great, a defensive coordinator, perfect, and we weren't excited. But as far as playing devil's advocate, RJ, that's the best I can do for you, because for Schottenheimer, just for what I said, he didn't even call the plays last year. Like, what is it that you could say could be a little bit of hope with this? We know his dad, we know the bloodlines. What other than that might make you think that maybe he is the guy to lead this team forward?
Dak Prescott likes him. I mean, that's it. Like, that's again, I'm not trying to be, and I feel badly here. I mean, it's uncomfortable saying things like this because I'm happy for Brian Schottenheimer personally and his family and all the obvious things, but that there is no, evidence-based thing you can say here, right? It's simply, I hope this happens. I want it to happen. There's nothing. And I get what you're saying about Sean McDermott. I know I've told y'all in the past, I hated Sean McDermott when he was in Philadelphia. He's obviously a branch off of Jim Johnson's tree, and he gave Tony Romo hell. I mean, every time, even when he was the defensive coordinator in Carolina. And so you could point, at least in that sense, to moments that Sean McDermott dominated, right, as an NFL play caller. You can't do that here. You just simply cannot. And then you inject that he's been in the NFL for 20 years and, this has never happened. Nobody else interviewed him. I mean, like, it really does check all of the worst boxes that you would want for a situation like this.
RJ, the Cowboys crossed my mind a couple of times this week with some of the news that we're getting from around the NFL. The first was the Myles Garrett trade request out of Cleveland, and my thought there was whoever ends up trading for Myles Garrett, if he gets traded, better hustle to get him a new contract before you see Micah Parsons reset the market, or will the Cowboys do what they've done in the past, which is wait and eventually overpay or reset the market after Myles Garrett sets the market with his new team. And then the other thing, and tell me if I'm crazy, but when Cooper Kupp gets released from the Rams when they're not able to find a trade partner, it just feels like he's going to be in Dallas to me. And I don't have anything other than a gut feeling that Cooper Kupp is going to be a Cowboy.
Yeah, on the Cup thing, I think that would make a lot of sense. When the Cowboys traded for Brandon Cooks 2 years ago, we celebrated them and we congratulated them for being a forward-thinking front office and dealing a day 3 pick for a legitimate veteran who, could be a really good big brother in the room. At the time, CeeDee Lamb was, starting to really kind of come into his own and as a player and a superstar. So that would make a lot of sense. I mean, somebody who's been there and done that and climbed the highest high that this game has to offer. I mean, that same offseason saw the Cowboys trade for Stephon Gilmore, and he was revered in the locker room because, he won a Defensive Player of the Year in a Super Bowl, right? Like, there was a lot that he could kind of stand on business with, so to speak. As far as Myles Garrett is concerned, I completely agree with you. I mean, like, all the work I did around that was, I mean, you've got your Cowboys fans that are like, please let it be us, and that one is way more impractical than Cooper Kupp, obviously. But the fear, I think, behind it is that whoever it is that ultimately trades for him will get him a brand new deal, and it will raise Micah's price. And that the Cowboys, look, it's important to underscore that the Cowboys could have gotten a Micah deal done last year. Yeah. They already burned a year that they could have negotiated and offered an extension. That last year was the most efficient time to do it. So we've already stumbled down the wrong side of the fork in the road. But to your point, I would fully expect that this won't even be done by training camp. I mean, what benefit of the doubt could you objectively give them in this sense? You can't. Like, all history suggests that they're going to wait and drag it out, and then, like Jerry Jones did last night on the red carpet before NFL honors, brag about it. Last night, Jerry said, I gave Dak Prescott the biggest deal in NFL history. We know, dude. And beyond the fact that we know, everybody else did the same thing before you. And the fact that you didn't understand that principle is the problem. When it's your turn, you got to bite the bullet. No matter who you are, how different you think you are, the rules are the same for every team.
RJ, last one for me, and appreciate you playing hurt with us, joining us here on the sports bar, so to speak. And I know the Cowboys, the NFL, that's your beat. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this other story where, like, Saturday night, I'm like, okay, this can't be right. Like, very rarely do I see a story like that that's fake, and then you realize you go check it out, like, you're kidding me. They really traded Luka for that? What has been the vibe in that community after the big trade with the Mavericks?
Yeah, well, full disclosure, I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, so, like, I'm levitating. Like, life's just great for me. But obviously, I interact with DFW, fan bases a lot, and it's worse than you think. I mean, like, it is. I mean, what sport do you have? The Stars, I guess. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's going on right now. It's impossible to explain. It's impossible to justify. And now you have, this stupid narrative that's leaking out about how Nico and everyone are fearing for their lives. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And there is, I mean, it might be the worst trade in modern professional sports history. I think it's really that bad. And I think it's important to note that, people characterize Cowboys fans as being like, oh, it's our year. Like, nobody is like that. Like, that's a stereotype. Nobody really feels like, if you think y'all hate the Cowboys more than I do, I mean, we need to have a talk. You know what I'm saying? And so my point is, like, everyone had already kind of put the Cowboys in that box in their lives and, had tried to put some level of hope into the Mavs and into a return to the finals. And so this was just such a kick, and it's impossible to get over. It really is. And I don't know how or what could happen that would justify it or make it feel better. It's one of the darkest periods in DFW professional sports history, especially when you factor in that, the Eagles are playing in their second Super Bowl in 3 seasons, and the Niners have been here a couple of times. It's tough to root for the local teams right now.
RJ, we know you're doing great work down there in New Orleans. Where can we get some of what you've been working on leading up to Sunday's game?
SBNation.com, bloggingthepoints.com, all my social handles. It's been a fun week, and I really enjoyed getting to catch up with you guys. Tonight, you mentioned I'm playing Hurt. I'm going to go chug just like the biggest bottle of Theraflu and watch Only Murders in the Building, and it's going to be the greatest night I've ever had.
What a way to cap off a
Yeah,
week.
Friday in New Orleans hits different, doesn't it, RJ? You got to pace yourself, young man.
You know what? You say young man, and I'm a young 35. Don't get me wrong, but I have a 3-year-old son. This isn't. I'm at a different level of life than I was the first time I went to one of these things. So I'm very happy. You know what I want, guys? I'll be straight up. I want a milkshake. That's all I really wanted. I want to get a milkshake and get home and chill out. So if I can find a milkshake, my day will have peace.
Find a Smoothie King, man. We'll talk to you on the other side. RJ, thanks for the time, bud.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You got
Thanks,
it.
RJ.
RJ King. RJ Ochoa, he is the king. Blogging the boys, SB Nation, joining us in the sports bar from New Orleans.
I think that's the consensus, because if you go back like 20 years, we all Cowboy fan. Yeah, look at our rings, our history. Honestly, every Cowboy fan I
hate their
encounter,
team.
they hate their team. They don't like their owner. They don't.
Hate their team. I was going to mention that RJ is feeling in New Orleans the way I think a lot of people feel in New Orleans. Like, I don't know that I could do a week in New Orleans. That feels excessive. I've done Mardi Gras. I've done Fat Tuesday. I've gotten in and out of there.
Like he said, I want to make it clear. It's not that he was out partying or anything. It's like that flu that's going around.
It's
right
a
now,
lot, though, man. I know, RJ's not out late partying. He's got a 3-year-old son, but even just being out, just the food and the drink and the meals and everything. He mentioned it. He's gained 15 pounds just in a single week just from going out. It's a lot. New Orleans is, in a way, kind of like Vegas, where you go to Vegas and you're like, I can't imagine being there for more than a couple of days, 3 days tops. Maybe some people, want to be there longer. I don't know. But New Orleans feels exactly the same way. Like, it'd be a pro move, I think, to get in and get out, do what you need to do. Don't hang around, because you might end up sounding like RJ when it's all said and done, just a little bit beat up and a little worse for the wear.
Yeah, it happens to me like when I get on a plane, though. It seems like whatever, I'm coming home with a cold one way or another, arriving that's also part of it.
All right, we've got some takes on the way next here in the sports bar, including I'm going to give the one AP voter what he's been desiring. If you missed it earlier, we discussed how the NFL AP voters for MVP, Coach of the Year, all of their ballots have been published. So you know who voted for who put who where, and I love it. It gives us an opportunity to point and laugh.
Well, not point and laugh, just be accountable.
I'm going to point and laugh a little bit.
Well, you can do that. Boy, you talk about this Super Bowl, and it feels like a rematch. We just saw this, but then wait a second. This is not the same Philly team. You have Saquon. Oh, you have another guy on the other side. Vic Fangio wasn't here this time. All right, I want to kind of dive into this because, Danger, I've got some numbers that I'm not sure which side it's telling, but I'm not sure which direction it's going to point us. Is it going to point to, the Chiefs are actually going to do this and they're going to run all over the place? Or might Fangio have the answers here? And I'll explain.
If you've been waiting to get into the sports bar, 866-4326 is our phone number. You can join us now, 585-866-4FAN. Let's do caller 5. A free pair of tickets to see Luke Bryan at Darien Lake on August 30th. You can get those tickets at livenation.com. You can win them for free right now on the Fan. Caller 5, 866-4326. It's a free pair of tickets to see Luke Bryan at Darien Lake on August 30th.
You're listening to the
Big night for the Buffalo Bills as Josh Allen wins the Most Valuable Player.
And I know this is an individual award and it says most valuable player on it, but I think it's derived from team success, and I love my team. D-Dog, thank you for presenting. I really appreciate it. We got such a great locker room in Buffalo, and it takes everybody. It truly takes everybody to have team success, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of a great organization.
Allen edging out Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Hockey night tonight in Flower City. Just this game. That's it for the Amherst this weekend as Belleville comes to town. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks with the call. Tonight and tomorrow, the RIT Tigers are home. Final 3 weeks of the season for RIT as Holy Cross is the opponent. Sabres tomorrow night play in Nashville. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I think guys are ready to go. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of build-up into the Super Bowl, and a lot of guys have done it before. But you continue to detail the details. You continue to work hard, and all this build-up, it makes you ready to go on Super Bowl Sunday.
You know, when that guy hits puberty, he's going to be a dangerous, dangerous guy. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. I shouldn't. We're so jealous. I'm so jealous.
All right, so trying to find positives in an otherwise, this should have been us situation, right? There's going to be the Chiefs. Picture this. They win another. The guy on the call never won 3 in a row.
Oh, Brady.
What will that be like for Brady if he's got to say glowing things? Now, in his mind, probably, I won the head-to-head matchup in the Super Bowl, and that would be the end of the story, right?
Sure. Yeah. And he's got 7. I mean,
Right.
there's that, too. Like, you never want to see your record get broken, but what he's doing, I mean, you could say every quarterback that's played in the Super Bowl or won multiple Super Bowls could look at what Mahomes has done and been like, I hate that guy. I'm jealous. I want to be Troy Aikman. I wish I could have won 3 in a row, right? I mean, like there's been so many opportunities.
Like going back to the award show last night, and did anybody pick up on this? Am I making too much of it? So Josh Allen wins the MVP. Now, it wasn't like directly to this, but every time they cut away to Sean Payton, Payton just looks like a miserable guy.
He wanted nothing to do with it.
No, he
was
just
over all of it.
But just the path where they sat Allen, and Allen has to walk to the stage, and in the front row, that's where they put Sam Darnold.
Saw that.
And it's just kind of a business-like handshake, and like, wait a second. Aren't you guys supposed to be bros? Didn't you go to the Masters together? You're the same draft class.
Yeah.
Weren't you supposed to be friends? I mean, maybe that wore off. Maybe it wasn't a real thing to begin with.
I mean, it could have wore off. I mean, you think about who you were friends with in your early 20s. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. I love that he referenced his fiance. And I just feel like when we have no way of knowing what their relationship is like, but you do get the sense that they are at minimum supportive of each other. Her being there last night, he's going with her to things that she needs, like they're supportive of each other, which is healthy. Think about what you were like when you were in your mid-20s. I know what I was like in my mid-20s. I was an a-hole. I was a disaster of a human being. I didn't care.
There's a punchline here, but go on.
I'm not still a disaster of a human being. I've got my S together, Gino. Come on. I only look like a disaster.
I wasn't talking about the beginning part, but go
on. Yes, that gene might still be inside. I might be an a-hole forever. But he is a kid, a guy in his early to mid-20s in the NFL. I imagine probably has some regrets, some things that he wishes he could do over again, or some moments of a lack of maturity, whatever it is. We'll never hear about it. We don't need to hear about it. I just think boys will be boys, and we were all kids, and we were all young adults, and we made a lot of mistakes until somebody eventually comes into your life, takes the crusties out of your eyes, dresses you up, and shows you, hey, there's a better way of doing things in terms of how you should live your life. And I feel like she's done that for him. And in doing that, if that happens, sometimes there's collateral damage. Sometimes you have to let go of some of your friends. You just cut them out of your life, and you just move forward. I had plenty of guys. I remember when I moved to Rochester, the guys that I was friends with my first year or so that I was here, my first year or so here in Rochester when I first moved here, is what I was talking about. I was rough. I cut them out. And I keep in touch with them sort of, but we're not hanging out.
No, it's danger. It's different for you and I. Like if I go back to my college reunion, let's just say it's, oh, hey, how you doing? And then, no, I'm not going to the bar till 2 a.m. That's not happening. No.
Right. So I think maybe the Darnold thing is a byproduct of that. Like it's just, hey, he was a friend of mine during a period of time that I've kind of moved on from.
Yeah, and the Haley thing is interesting too, because if we're comparing this to other things we see and observe, and again, it's the Kansas City Chiefs where, hey, it's Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. His wife is front-facing. You know her. You know their story. They've been together. Oh, my gosh, Travis Kelce. Do I need to say more? Like, Kelly Stafford, okay? Josh Allen has been very private about
Brenda Warner. It's been this way for a while.
Brenda Warner. I'm like, whoa, my gosh, she looked a little older last night. Haley has just been kind of in the background. Josh doesn't like to talk about his personal life.
Huh.
So to see that was a different side, and I think man, how could you not be happy?
That was adorable.
I thought, look, and she's an actress. I get that. But the parents aren't. To see the tears there and
it was
everything,
awesome.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I'd be shocked if Western New York tattoo parlors weren't getting inundated with calls today for this quote being inscribed on, let's get the tattoo of be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills. I mean, what a way to
the T-shirt company in Buffalo. What
yeah,
is it?
Del Reed,
yeah,
the
like
26 shirts.
That's probably already out
let's
there.
go
right?
ahead and get that taken care of. That was well done. And, it's simple, it's basic, but you look at it and you're like, yeah, that could be a lot of people walking around saying that here. That'll become everybody's new Instagram profile moving forward. Their bio will read, be good, do good, God bless, go Bills.
I'm trying to figure out an angle here to the Super Bowl that maybe could help Philadelphia. And this one, Danger, I'm going to let you be the judge. Okay. So Vic Fangio wasn't around last time. Vic Fangio, widely regarded as really good defensive coordinator. In fact, he was a consultant last time around, if you recall. And then he spent 2 years in Miami, and that didn't go so well, right?
Was it 2 years or just 1 year? I can't remember. I thought it was just 1 year. He was a consultant.
Okay.
Right?
I'll get to this, why I was confused about 2 years. It was one.
Okay.
What about Vic Fangio all time against the Chiefs, because he was the head coach?
Well, I saw the stat that I think it's been going around that Patrick Mahomes is like 8-0 against.
That's correct. So Fangio has never beaten Patrick Mahomes 8-0 if you include the 2 games that he was in Miami. And if you recall, there was a regular season game, and there was also the playoff game in the freezing temperatures. But if you kind of look at this closer, okay, just take the Denver portion of this. His offense was terrible. They didn't have a quarterback. They averaged just 11.8 points per game in those 6 games against Kansas City, all right? So you're not winning any games. If you take a look at these other stats, okay, points per drive, Patrick Mahomes. In his career, he averages 2.66. Against Vic Fangio, 2.14. Red zone TD percentage, Patrick Mahomes, 63% in his career when he gets into the red zone. Against Vic Fangio, that drops to 37%. What about goal to go? Meaning, okay, first and goal, 79% of the time, Patrick Mahomes is punching it in with his offense. Danger, that drops to 38%. Third down conversions a little tighter, but hey, that's a big stat, right? 49%. Nearly half the time Patrick Mahomes is going to pick up a third down in his career. That drops to 38% again against Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio, he's beating the averages against the Chiefs. I don't think it's a nothing, but I'm not going to say that that's going to be just the secret sauce here for Philadelphia.
I think Vic Fangio is a very, very good defensive coordinator. I think he and Spagnuolo are both elite defensive coordinators in the NFL. And those stats show me that 8-0 record is really less about the defense and more about what else he had on those teams because he didn't have a lot. And you need to have what the Eagles have in order to beat Patrick Mahomes. That's kind of why I like Philly. I mean, I do think Philly has an advantage in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I do like Fangio's defense. They've got great players on all three levels, guys that can make plays, guys that can neutralize the Chiefs. And can they close on Mahomes? Yeah, I think they might be able to close on Mahomes. I think Carter is that kind of guy that, gets that push in the middle and actually will bring him down. Or they'll come up with some creative ways to get in his grill. I like Fangio a lot. I've always liked Fangio.
You know why you like him, too.
Yeah, he was Bears defensive coordinator for a while.
And?
Because he's Italian!
I'm just trying to, lay it in there just as softly as I can.
Oh, my first thought was, yeah, he was a Bear, and then, I have to go to my second thought, which is, hey, he's Italian.
Right, that's the combo for you.
That's
the Italian
that's the pecking order in my life.
That's the filter. Did he play for the Bears? Oh, he coached the Bears, yeah. He's Italian.
He's Italian. I love what the NFL did to the AP voters by publishing their ballots today. And I don't know that the AP voters really knew that the NFL was going to do it, but it's a real quick and easy way to discover which clowns with the privileges of voting are unserious about getting it right. Like, when you scan and you see first place votes for Lamar Jackson from guys like Doug Farrar and Armando Salguero, who we love, Mike Florio, Mike Tirico, Aaron Schatz, Tony Dungy, Kay Adams, and others, you think, all right, well, yeah, there's certainly a case to be made there. We see this in the Baseball Hall of Fame votes all the time, right? Except we don't know who that one guy is who didn't vote Ichiro to make that a unanimous vote. Baseball writer, you need to be held accountable. Publish their votes. We can cast a little bit of shame on thirsty Tom Silverstein. From his LinkedIn, I seek to educate my readers about both the X's and O's and the human side of professional football. I'm fair, ethical, and committed to journalism. Buddy, you sound like a great guy. I'm going to go ahead and give you what you want. All the attention that you've been seeking as the only voter to cast a third place vote for Josh Allen. I imagine being a beat writer for the Packers for as many years as he has makes him feel a little entitled, so we'll humbly quench his thirst here in the sports bar. Is it an award you're voting on solely because of stats? Do we need to explain the definition of value to someone who should already know it? Yeah, we're all doing a victory lap for Josh today, and I'm popping off on the one AP voter who has his head directly up his ass. Green Bay sucks.
Okay. I see. I see what you did there.
Well, I did it. This is one of the few times where I can say something about the Bills, back the Bills, and also do a little jab at Green Bay.
So Josh Allen being voted third, that's bad. I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson being voted fourth?
Oh, what the F, man. This is one of our favorites, too.
I know.
I love Jim Miller from NFL Radio. Jim Miller joins us every year, training camp. He's awesome. I can't believe he had Lamar fourth on his ballot.
Fourth, wait a second. He's getting roasted online.
Yeah.
It goes back to your point. Did anybody actually know you were going to be revealed? And I kind of love it. Funny, just like a real award show. I'm okay. The coverage is going to begin at I think it was 9:00. Oh, wait a second. They didn't even wait for the assistant coach of the year. Like, okay, you know what? We're not going to have time to get to this one. Let's just tell everybody who won. So
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson didn't get to go up and receive his award. Why? Because, well, we only have 2-hour window here.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad about that. I'm sure Ben Johnson would have got up on stage and done something touching for his new employer, and Virginia McCaskey, who had just passed away. And I didn't see the whole show. I kind of saw the highlights and the acceptance award, so I don't know if they even did anything for her through the course of the show. Probably not, because it was such a last-minute thing.
So what do they do at every award
show?
In
memoriam.
Yes. Who died this year? Oh, I forgot that person died. I forgot. And the last-second edit right at the end. They got it. But the thing that was different, and I know it might upset somebody. I've never been to New Orleans, and I do like jazz. Okay. New Orleans jazz I think it's crap.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
And like when they're doing the in memoriam, it's like the New Orleans type of funeral where they have the guy with the trombone, like it doesn't.
Wow. Maybe you should go to New Orleans.
Maybe I should, but I just think that style, it's not jazz. It should be called something else.
I think it's jazz.
I think it's loud and obnoxious.
Oh, boy. Here we go. You think jazz is loud and obnoxious?
No. That's not jazz.
I think
like
it is.
Steely Dan jazz.
Oh, boy.
Smooth jazz.
Boy.
There's different types of jazz.
Oh, boy.
Don't make me like baseball.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Gino. I mean, I guess it's a good take, but you need to go to New Orleans. There is something about being down there when you hear this music and you see it live in the streets and there's just people parading around all the time. It is different. I mean, it is. You feel like you're in a different country. It is different down there.
I guess that's the whole thing where you see like the video of people, the casket getting carried in the street, and then there's a parade or whatever. It's a different culture.
It is. It's a completely different vibe. And I think that music probably reflects that different vibe. It is jazz. It's just not your brand of jazz. But if you were down there and if you were like in the streets where they're doing it, maybe you would have a different, or if you're in a grimy, dingy club, maybe you would have a different take on New Orleans style jazz. I don't know. I love it down there. I mean, it's good for a day or two, but if we talked to RJ earlier this hour, RJ at Show from Blogging the Boys, has been down there all week, and he sounds like he's been down there all week. It's Friday, and you've been down there all week, buddy. Yeah, you need some Imodium. Get what you need and get well.
Interesting. Like, if you had to say, okay, I'm just gonna relax and binge something, would Only Murders in the Building be the one you would binge?
I imagine RJ and his wife probably have a routine. Maybe they're watching it together. They have a 3-year-old now, so if you have little kids, you wait to put the kids to bed and then you watch. They do this thing, Gene. I don't know if you've heard of it, called Netflix and Chill.
I thought that actually meant we're just going to have a night where we just watch movies.
No.
I'm not the only one.
I imagine
your wife thought the same thing.
Well, right. You're both a couple of prudes. I imagine RJ and his wife probably look forward to the moment that they can put the 3-year-old to bed, have some quality time alone, if you know what I'm saying. And maybe Murders in the Building is the thing that does that for them. That could be, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, RJ was sounded a little worse for the wear. A little worse for the wear after a week in New Orleans. And maybe it's the music. Maybe the music's just been a little bit too loud for RJ as well. I don't know. I kind of dig it.
Sports bar long term. We've got to figure out a way to get to one of these weeks. I just want to see what the scene is like.
You want to be on Radio Row?
I think so, but will we be looked down upon?
Yes.
Like here's Infinity Sports Network, mate. Here's ESPN. Here's Rochester.
I can save you the trouble, and I can tell you exactly how it would go if we were to go down there. Because I've done not sports junkets, but industry junkets, and it's the same conversation with the guys that you have them in your phone. You maybe don't communicate with them all the time, but they're contacts. They're people that you're aware of. You know of each other. You see them. The first thing, when'd you get in? Second thing, where are you staying? Third thing, how long you staying for? What do you got planned? That's really it. And then the conversation just kind of ends with, hey, let's catch up. And that's
here's my impression, not of Radio Row. That's my impression of the NFL Combine. There is nothing the NFL Combine. If you want to be the one to ask Shedeur Sanders a question, sure. If you want to be, let's say, Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, they go down there. Hey, they're going to get a one-on-one with Sean McDermott. Absolutely. But for the majority of guys, it just seems like an opportunity to kind of network and go out and have some drinks and go to the place where the horse
convention.
Ranch. Yeah.
It's convention. If you've been to a trade convention for whatever it is you do, then you kind of know how it goes. When'd you get in? Where are you staying? How long you staying for? Hey, let's catch up sometime soon. Even though you just got caught up. You really know everything you need to know. We're not really going to get together, but good seeing you. Let's catch up again soon. And then that's it. And then you end up never catching up with that person again. Training camp is a little bit like that for us too. We'll see people at training camp that we see every year, and you'll be like, "Hey, good to see you. Hey, yeah, we'll catch up." Yeah, well, I guess we won't catch up. It's fine. That's just the way it is. Pressing the flesh.
But to go back to the thing, you would think that like, hey, 95.7 The Fan Rochester would be like, oh, Rochester's here. They wouldn't be looking down on it.
Look at that. A secondary market to a secondary market got into Radio Row. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's great. We're on X at The Fan Rochester if you want to engage with us there, like our regular Greg. Wow, amigo. Shots fired on the New Orleans Jazz at Gene Battaglia. He's just not a fan.
I can't be it's just one of those takes I've had in my mind for a while. Just
it feels good to get out. Like, you felt the heat as it came across your lips.
I did. I'm not regretting it.
No.
If what in my mind, it's an opinion. That's my opinion. We're here to give opinions. It's called a dirge. This is the real sports dirge line, the March of the Cemetery, New Orleans tradition. So the dirge.
Okay.
So
that's where they play the music.
That's where
that
play
you're talking
the music.
about.
Yeah, and
I'm thinking of like up tempo jazz that they play in the streets, not the downtrodden funeral dirge that they play.
Yeah, my impression is when the Saints, Louis Anderson.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. It's all good. That's fun. It's fun. How do you not smile at that? I mean, maybe you have to be drunk, but I've got a couple of hurricanes in me. I'm okay. I'm good.
Chris in Kentucky writing into me earlier with Josh Allen winning. Can we have some Bruno Martino?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No. Do you know who's playing on Sunday? That is not the Buffalo Bills. Nope. Are you kidding me? We're going to play the Victory Monday song on the Friday before a Chiefs Super Bowl? I don't care if, like, Josh Allen was named King. Chris, I appreciate you listening. But, no, we're not going to play the music. We got to wait. I was thinking about this, though. Amerks postseason. Do we play it after an opponent gets eliminated?
We need something different for the Amerks. I don't know
that
it's
time to think. Yeah,
we got to work something out there. I don't think it can be. Maybe we'll ask Coach Leone. Maybe we play Lido Shuffle.
It's Leo Shuffle.
Oh, it's not Leo Shuffle. It's not Leo Shuffle, Mister. I need more jazz in my life, like Steely Dan, who didn't know Boz Scaggs' biggest hit was Lido Shuffle, not Leo Shuffle. Yeah, maybe if Mike Leone gets this team to the Calder Cup Finals, we'll play Lido Shuffle after every playoff win. I like that idea. We got to get to happy hour next. And we have time for your calls at 866-4326. We're streaming on YouTube at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. Share it with a friend. We appreciate that as well. 866-4FAN. We'll give our predictions for Sunday, and we'll dive a little bit more into Josh Allen winning his first MVP, the first Buffalo Bill to win MVP since Thurman Thomas. Quite the award last night in New Orleans. More next on The Fan.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports update.
Josh Allen becomes the first Buffalo Bill to win the MVP since Thurman Thomas in 1991. The only other guy to do it, O.J. Simpson. Allen edging out Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Tonight's hockey night in the Flower City. Belleville is the opponent. Here's head coach Mike Leone.
They've had a lot of guys out of the lineup, and they've been really competitive. You know, they're a well-coached team. They're really good on special teams, and it's a tough matchup for us, so we got to make sure we're mentally and physically engaged to compete because that team works, and they got some guys. It's a good measuring stick game to come back from break.
Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call beginning at 7 tonight here on The Fan. You've got your choice locally. The RIT Tigers also home tonight. Holy Cross is the opponent. Buffalo Sabres in Nashville tomorrow night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
And the AP most valuable player is Josh Allen.
Be good, do good. God bless, and go Bills.
Super Bowl 59. It is the Eagles versus the Chiefs.
Let's go!
Mike Danger.
I would love to see Saquon win. I'm rooting for the Eagles because of one player, and that player is Saquon Barkley. I want to see that dude get a ring. If Saquon gets a ring, then I'll be happy for him. Eagles by at least 4 scores with Sharko and Sharkley in the cave.
Gene Battaglia.
I can't root for the Chiefs under any circumstance. They are right alongside the Patriots. Congratulations. In my mind, 81-0.
Oh, 81-0 Philadelphia? Yeah, I think I was a little bit more conservative. I went 59-13 Eagles. 59-13.
On Sunday, the executive producer and I are going to the Memorial Art Gallery.
You're pre-gaming at the Memorial Art Gallery.
MoMA.
95.7
Bad at it,
FM
Dan.
and AM
Bad at
950,
it.
The
MoMA
Fan Rochester.
is in New York. That's in Manhattan.
It's not bad at it. I think you just heard MoMA.
No, MoMA
is in New York.
Is in New York.
Right.
This is the MAG, they call it.
I think Dan DeLorean, if I can crawl inside his mind for a second, a scary place to be. Dan DeLorean, our bounty hunter of the finest audio in the galaxy. I think what he was trying to say there was you're going to the MAG Super Bowl Sunday, and then you're going to MoMA when you're in New York. You've got a thing with art galleries. You're just very cultured, Gene. You like a very specific kind of jazz. You like going to the art galleries with your wife. And
I'm just full of takes on this Friday.
Uh-huh.
I'm not baseball writer. Stop with the farts. I know when this take's going to come out.
That hot button is going to get that hotkey is going to get a lot of use when we get to playoff season next year, buddy. We got the teams that are farting around.
Yeah, that's or maybe you come up with it. Isn't like before we got the sports and everything? Isn't art the original takesmanship? Like when you put a piece of art up, wow, I see this. Who's to tell you that you're wrong in your take?
Is art a take?
That's all art is. It's a take.
I like it. I agree.
Yeah.
I think art is a take. Absolutely.
So when I kind of go to these
places
with the executive
you're going to come back. You're going to come back with more takes.
I'm bringing takes, and furthermore, like music. Like, hey, you like this genre? You like that genre? I like jazz, but New Orleans jazz isn't jazz. Oh, that's wrong. No, it's just a take. That's all it is.
A good take splits the audience. We say it often. A good take will make you mad. I think that take makes a lot of people mad. So that's a good take.
I want my takes based, though, on fact. And I had a malaprop, as it was pointed out. I said when I was getting all worked up, I cited Louis Anderson. It's Louis Armstrong.
Louis Anderson, the comedian, the overweight comedian.
Yeah,
Louis Armstrong
is the guy,
trumpet player. Yeah, gotcha.
Wrong.
Can we quickly, because I want to get to New Orleans. I want to talk about Sunday. I want to talk about what we saw last night. But something was said in your sports update there from Amerks head coach Mike Leone, and I just feel like when I hear this from a coach, it's code.
They've had a lot of guys out of the lineup, and they've been really competitive. You know, they're a well-coached team. They're really good on special teams, and it's a tough matchup for us. So we got to make sure we're mentally and physically engaged to compete because that team works, and they got some guys. Okay. It's a good measuring stick game to come back from break.
What part of that is code?
They work?
No.
Okay.
They've got some guys.
They've got some guys.
They've got some guys is code for, they ain't got anybody we're worried about.
No, they got some guys.
They got a few guys.
They got some guys. Hey, there's some guys on that team. Yeah, we're okay. They got some guys. We're going to be fine.
No, I think when you ever talk about their work, it's all right.
You're being polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Belleville's not a measuring stick game. No, it's not.
They work and they've got some guys. Okay. Love Coach Leone. Very polite. He's a gentleman coach, as most of them are at the pro hockey level. We'll get to a round of shots later. It was great having RJ Ochoa on with us from Blogging the Boys from New Orleans, covering the Super Bowl for SB Nation. Let's get it out of the way. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I'm saying 27-17 Eagles. I think the Eagles are a better team on paper. I think they're I know smarter people than I would be like, you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. I'm not betting on Patrick Mahomes. I'm going with the Eagles. And first and foremost, the reason why I'm going with the Eagles, you know why I'm going with the Eagles. Because he's Italian.
Are we talking about Fangio or Big
All
Dom?
of them.
All of them.
Big Dom, Sirianni. The Eagles are just more Italian, Gino. They got to win. They do Italian things. They wear the Rocky costume. They eat pasta before the game. Their coaches' names end in vowels. They're more Italian. 27-17.
I am going to say it's 81-0 Philadelphia.
There you go. That's the prediction we were looking for.
Or, 30-23 Kansas City. This is like the one Super Bowl I just don't want to pick because I don't care. And the thing that sucks, Danger, is, Kansas City will win. If you think they're going to go away, no, because they'll get, hey, this was really great. Let's do it again. And how do we get back?
Oh, this is so much fun. This never gets old. We can't wait to be here for a fourth time. We've got the best team and the best resources and the best coaches and the best quarterback, and we can't wait to be here again next year at this time. Ugh. I can't. I won't stand for it.
Again, it's a dictate. And nobody tweet at Binkley because he doesn't know this is coming. Chiefs lose.
He's on with us on Monday.
I'm not going to confirm. We're just going to put it out there. We are calling you at 4:25. If you win, we'll talk to you next football season. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
No. No, we don't want any Chiefs arrogance. But you know what? If they get their comeuppance a little bit, it might taste okay.
Well, the thing that'll suck is he'll still. What a great run. How fortunate we are to watch Patrick Mahomes. We still have Mahomes, and we still have Reed, and we still have the best defensive linemen.
It'll just fuel our hunger for next season.
I don't understand all the Chiefs hate. I don't understand it.
I mean, Mahomes should have been the MVP.
I don't understand
They were. I mean, they only lost
Dueling
one game.
Binkley's happening right now on the fan.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. Josh Allen on the table. Game on Sunday that we're all not too hyped up about. Your conversation with RJ Ochoa you want to react to. John in Rochester. John,
hey, John.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Josh winning the MVP, that's phenomenal. I was so surprised that most of the experts, especially over the last month, didn't think he had a chance. And I think I heard Paul Hamilton on your show earlier, and I think Paul kind of hit it on the numbers, and it's phenomenal. I got to tell you, Josh we haven't seen the best of Josh yet either. Look at his experience. He wasn't really sought after as a quarterback out of high school. I think he had to go to junior college. Yep. And there was only one Division I team that was really interested in him, Wyoming. And the guy has a lot more upside than Mahomes and Hurts and Lamar Jackson because he hasn't played big games in his career. Now look at Mahomes. I guess Pat and I love Mahomes in a lot of ways. He's a class act, but he had the benefit of a major league. His father was a major league great pitcher.
He's got good
and
genes.
He hung around with these athletes all his life. Where Josh grew up in farm country in Northern California, and he's just seeing the light right now. I think what a great pick, MVP.
Well, thanks, John. I look. Could Josh even get better?
I think so. I think we haven't seen the best of Josh Allen.
I agree with John on that.
How could he have played better in the AFC Championship game? Look, recognizing a corner blitz like that, that's tough. If he recognizes that blitz and gets it off to Shakir, I mean, that's the nitpick. You can't say, well, tush push. Hey, he's only running the plays that are called there.
I think he can be better. I think statistically he can be better. I think they can win more games with him. I think they can make it to the Super Bowl. I think he can be better.
Well, okay, that's fair because the Houston game, that was a little bit
bad.
off. That's the margin. If you want to get past Kansas City, the best path is to do something you haven't done. Get the number 1 seed, get a bye, and have somebody come up here and knock you off.
And to John's point on Paul Hamilton, he's right. It's I don't understand why we can't both be right. That the AP first team starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson, could be viewed as the best player in the NFL. I would listen to that. The best quarterback in the NFL could be Lamar Jackson. Overall, statistically, you look at it, yep, that's the guy. Most valuable, that's Josh Allen. Most valuable, it's Josh Allen.
Yeah, we're just taking the standpoint of, okay, you put Tyler Huntley or whoever in a quarterback with Baltimore, okay, they're probably still a playoff
So you have
team.
Derrick Henry, you have stars on that team. Josh doesn't have the supporting cast. James Cook had a nice season, but he doesn't have the supporting cast.
Funny thing
no
is,
All-Pros.
Yeah, that's going to change. I think there's going to be more recognition that, hey, you know what? Deion Dawkins is really good. That offensive line is really good. James Cook is underrated. I think that will change next year, and in order for Josh maybe to get to back-to-back danger, probably is the top. Why did we get so worked up over this? Because it's a formula that, like, in most of our lifetimes, we haven't seen. Like, you got to go back to 1987, the John Elway, the last time this actually happened. You had co-MVPs with Peyton Manning and Steve McNair in 2003. So this doesn't happen with voters, but I think the voters got it right. And if somebody voted for Lamar, it doesn't mean they don't know football. Like, honestly, I'm okay if somebody voted for Lamar Jackson. It's the person that voted for Josh Allen third or Lamar Jackson fourth. I'm like, what are you watching?
Yeah, that's a little tough. Yeah, the guy that voted for Josh Allen third is the beat writer in Milwaukee for the Green Bay Packers, Tom Silverstein. And, I put Burrow ahead of Allen. He put Burrow second. Jackson, Burrow, Allen.
Okay, well, and doesn't week 1 count as much as week 18?
Well,
in
I
the
would
NFL?
just say if you're just looking at stats and that's all it is to you, is just a statistical thing, then okay. But that still doesn't make him the most valuable. I mean,
the MVP conversation should be nuanced.
Yeah.
It's not just who has the best stats.
Agreed.
Hall of Fame for baseball writer? No, it's pretty much stats.
Baseball writer. We need to make baseball writer more accountable. Baseball writer needs to have happen to him what happened to the AP voters here. Make those votes public.
I love that.
Yes. Make those
Absolutely
votes public.
Loved it. And if you're somebody like Florio or Kay Adams, whoever, oh my gosh, now I have to defend my Lamar Jackson. That's your job.
Yeah.
That is your job.
Well,
you
I
put
think,
your name on
right.
it.
And a guy like Florio isn't going to back down from his takes. He gets it. He's going to I think he actually published his before he found out that everybody's was published, basically saying, "Hey, here's how I voted. Go ahead. Take shots at me. I'll defend it." But I recognize that there's probably some people on that list that don't want to deal with internet trolls or don't want to deal with people coming after them. I get that too. They should be allowed to say, all right, I'm not voting this year. Give it to somebody else.
Yeah. To me, this was the consolation prize. Really, it is. Like, if you could just say, hey, you know what, Lamar, you're the MVP and you're going to be playing tomorrow. How much would last night have been? You wouldn't have had the acceptance speech from Josh Allen. You wouldn't have had Haley there. You wouldn't have had the parents there because, well, anybody participating in the game is not going to be attending that ceremony last night. So it would have had a different vibe. So I guess that's a bright spot, I suppose, that if Josh breaks through in that regard, at least it's a year which he'll be able to, nail the acceptance speech.
Would you have taken – he was great. He absolutely was great. I did kind of laugh a little bit. It felt like the acceptance speeches were very cut and paste. They had a formula to them. The order was God, owner, GM coach, teammates, family, wife or girlfriend.
Like it just kind of like Kevin O'Connell's speech next to Josh Allen's speech, kind of very, very similar in terms of their style and how they deliver them, and that's totally fine. You don't need to overcomplicate it. I thought Joe Burrow was funny. I don't know how I should feel about being nominated for Comeback Player of the Year twice. Didn't seem very happy to be there.
He's got a different style, does he not?
He's a different cat.
Like when you look at some of his stolen items to recover, like, oh, these are a lot of like number 9 jewelry and like just customized jewelry for Joe Burrow, and he's wearing this like sensei outfit going up last night. Is that the style now?
I can tell you the one person who was over all of it, didn't want to be there. Sean Payton didn't want to be. He was over all of it. Had nothing, wanted nothing. Every time they panned to Sean Payton, I'm like, he looks miserable. He looks like he's going to leave and murder some pets. He was angry.
He was there to support Patrick Surtain, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and I forget who introduced him. Reddit said Surtain. It's like you may be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to pronounce your name, even though your old man played in the league.
That's great. From last night, the Hall of Fame class for 2025 was announced. Love Antonio Gates getting in. Jared Allen certainly feels worthy. Eric Allen, great career. Sterling Sharp, great career. I think it's notable that Eli Manning was a finalist but was not selected. He won't be a first ballot. He's getting in eventually, but he didn't get in this time.
I think Eli, you look at his career, it's like, the 2 championships, but it's like if you take away those 2 years, he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, I know you can't do that, but
pretty
that's
famous.
Yeah.
2 Super Bowl championships makes you pretty famous.
Well, that it does, but it's not the Hall of Fame, as I understand.
The Hall of Fame.
Or
what were you going to say? It's not the Hall of Very Good?
Yes. Thank you.
It is the Hall of Fame. Last time I checked.
Friday afternoon. Hall of Fame. Let me screen the call.
Oh, go ahead there. 866-4326 if you want to pull up a stool and join us. So, again, Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, all getting into the Hall of Fame class of 2025. And there's another bit of note here from the NFL. They put it out, and we kind of knew this was happening. We did get an announcement now that the Steelers will be the home team for a game in Dublin during the 2025 season. They have yet to determine the date. They have yet to determine the opponent. If you're a Bills fan, yes, the Bills are one of the teams scheduled to play in Pittsburgh in 2025. The Bills could be playing a game in Dublin against the Steelers this year.
Feels like over the next 2 weeks we're going to find out, like, not only who are the remaining teams that will be hosting, but all these other opponents that should be going over. And I think having the Bills go over to Ireland, oh my gosh, that would be a lot of fun, especially if you're not giving up a home game. Our number 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Jeff from Rochester calling in. Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
Hey, it's me, the Chiefs fan again. How are you guys?
Hey, Jeff, the Chiefs fan. How are you, buddy?
Walking a little taller this week, I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask a question. So this year it was who is the most valuable to the team, and you guys say it's Josh Allen, even though stats, it was Lamar, correct?
Lamar statistically had a better season, sure.
Right.
But the argument last year was opposite of that.
What was the argument? What was the argument last year?
The argument last year was Josh Allen had better stats than Lamar.
I didn't make an argument last year for Josh Allen to be MVP. Not once.
Lamar won the MVP last year.
I don't know. I mean, maybe people were doing that. It wasn't on this show. I never once said last year Josh Allen deserved to be MVP. Not once.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was a different show then.
Hey, man, look, there's a lot of people that are out there, and there's a lot of people that are only happy when they're angry or debating something. And we debate a lot here in the sports bar, but there are certain things where it's like that debate last year didn't make any sense to me.
No, Jeff, I think where you're getting confused is, like, that was, hey, Lamar won. Why did he win last year? He had the better stats. That was the thing that backed up the argument. And or like, no, I'm sorry, I've got that backwards.
Back it up.
Yeah, back it up. Like, it was Josh last year had the better stats, but it's not about the stats. It's about what Lamar provided for the team last year. So, like, that's kind of the logic here. It's not just
and I also think wins matter. I know that quarterback wins aren't a stat, but, like, I do think wins matter. Josh won more games this year, and he won them I mean, like there are moments from this season that I think will always be ingrained in your minds. And Lamar made plenty of great plays this year too, so that's not, you can compare the two of them. But I just think that when you think about memorable plays and you take away a guy like Josh Allen from this year's Bills team, you can't tell me that there isn't somebody who isn't more valuable to their team than quarterback number 17, Josh Allen, in 2024 at least.
Yeah, I think he had a great year. And yeah, if you put in Trubisky, they're not winning that many games.
Correct. Yeah, and last year,
I agree.
Last year the Bills, I mean, it went down to week 18. They had to win their 17th game just to get into the postseason. It was not the same. You can't compare the two seasons side by side. I do think wins, they're not a stat, but they do matter, and it's a standard. And Josh Allen had more this year, and I think they got it right. I don't think that it has to be about stats. I think two things can be true. I think you could say Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I could also say that Josh Allen is the most valuable player in the NFL. I think two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, I think Jeff, appreciate the call. There wasn't any suspense.
Jeff, call us on Monday if the Chiefs lose.
Yeah, we'll connect you with Bankley. When you saw Lamar Jackson wasn't there last night.
Yeah, you know.
You knew. They weren't gonna,
we were talking about it yesterday when we were looking at Vegas odds. I'm like, whoa, Vegas isn't in the business of giving out money. Lamar Jackson was getting plus money to win as of yesterday. I'm like, Josh Allen's winning this thing.
Yeah, and on NFL.com, they did their own red carpet show. By the way, it needs a little bit of work, but they actually
I don't think it needs any work. Just keep showing Bill Belichick.
Not Bill Belichick.
No, who he's got with him. What's her name?
Jordan Hudson.
Way to read the D, Bill.
No, something's off there, dude. That's very
What do you mean?
Creepy.
Something is off there. You're right. Half of her dress is off.
It wasn't a dress. It was a piece of clothing just kind of draped
All right,
around
so
her.
are the other NFL wives and girlfriends looking at her and saying, classy or trashy?
Tramp.
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 Whore. How dare she dress like that? What, does she not get enough attention? Being that much younger than Bill Belichick, she has to wear that? I say.
It's like Bill Belichick was the guy who couldn't get the girl in high school and was kicked around. He's 50 years later living in a life.
I'm not mad at Bill Belichick at all. I don't care if his suit was ill-fitting. I don't care that he's not coming back to the NFL. Bill, you do you, pal. Good for you. Happy for you. Happy for Bill Belichick.
This story coming over this afternoon, this isn't good for the NFL, and you wonder maybe these lawsuits are filed during Super Bowl week to get more attention, but I'll let you kind of just take this, whatever you think of this. Former assistant of Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell is being sued, alleging that he unmercifully harassed Brittany Neuheisel.
Yes.
It's
me, Brittany Neuheisel. And I'm very upset. And I'm suing Michael Bidwell. He's very mean.
The allegations, there are a lot of them, but the one that kind of sticks out to me, the assistant was ordered to ship a firearm through FedEx when she objected because she's Catholic. Bidwell said, do it, and then you can go to confession.
Yes, that's exactly what happened, but there's more to the story, and I just wanted to add on to it a little bit if I can, Gene, because this is very important to me, and I'm suing the Cardinals for punitive damages. I'm going to sue Bidwell. I'm going to sue Jerry Jones. I'm going to sue Roger Goodell. I'm suing everybody. Punitive damages. They told me to take the gun, and they mailed the gun. I don't know how to mail a gun. I don't go to church. I fell down the stairs. I lost my shoes. My glasses fell off. Michael Bidwell, he stepped on my glasses. He beat me about the head, neck, and chest area. I got bruises, and I pissed myself. And now I'm mad. I'm going to sue everybody.
It's also alleging that the Cardinals' job description, I can't believe this is actually true. They wanted to hire somebody who is young, beautiful, and athletic to replace the 54-year-old.
Yes, they wanted to hire somebody that looked better than me because I look like a troll. But that's okay. And when I didn't do what they told me to do, they put me in Michael Bidwell's driveway. They had Kyler Murray shoot the jugs machine right at my face. And it broke my glasses. and it hit me right in the nose, and I'm rubbing it right now. Oh.
Another allegation in this lawsuit, Danger, is that the owner, Michael Bidwell, demanded that his assistant disavow her children and grandchildren and told her that relationships were affecting her work performance.
Yes, they are, because I have 2 children, and I love them very much, and Michael Bidwell is very mean to my children. He told them that he gave them candy and said, watch out, I put razor blades in them. And then they had Buda Baker take my head, and my hairpiece fell off. But they take my head and they dipped me in the toilet of the locker room, and they gave me what they call a swirly. I'm very upset. I'm very hurt. I'm suing everybody: the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Michael Bidwell, Jerry Jones, Roger Goodell, Bill Belichick, everybody. I'm suing everybody. Jordan Davis.
The Cardinals strongly deny these allegations.
Of course they do. I'm suing everybody. My glasses fell off.
Insane.
I'm happy this doesn't happen to Terry Pagula.
As far as we know. As far as we know. I have a feeling they're friends with NDAs, that they've got a lot of non-disclosure agreements happening around the compound. Just hand them out like holiday cards. You get an NDA. You get an NDA.
Well, can you okay, you want to work here? Sign.
Yeah. That is well, that's another alien doing alien things. Nothing is surprising when you talk about the actions of an NFL owner. Michael Bidwell. Was Bidwell was the guy that had the GM who had the extreme DUI.
DUI, right.
Not just DUI, Gene. Extreme DUI. This isn't your father's DUI. This is extreme DUI. Pew!
He also had another executive sue him for $3 million. Can't recall the details of that.
Gross. Just gross. The Cardinals are kind of a gross organization. Kyler Murray is not a good forward-facing kind of quarterback.
No.
For as lucky as we feel to have a guy like Josh Allen winning an MVP representing Western New York the way he does, we all feel proud about that. I'm sure Josh Allen has made some mistakes. In fact, we know Josh Allen has made some mistakes. But, for Kyler Murray to be the face of that organization, what do you expect?
Normally I wouldn't point to something that's going on television right now, but this is making the rounds. Did you see who is now on the USC coaching staff?
Rob Ryan.
Rob Ryan getting up at the podium and just talking football, and that gut is looking in peak form. I think having Rob Ryan on a gridiron, it makes me want to pay attention to USC football a little more.
All is right with the world. Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan. We need, Gruden. We need these guys. We need the guys with personalities. These outlandish personalities, it makes the game more fun. I don't have to like these guys personally. I don't. I just think, their personalities, they're bombastic. They're going to say crazy things, do crazy things. It's fun for the game. Do we have any excerpts of what he said, anything specific, or is it just Rob Ryan being Rob Ryan, just being a football guy?
Football guy talking about football.
Love it. We got to take a break and come back with a round of shots next on The Fan.
Yeah, as you do have some choices on Sunday if you just don't want to watch. I think it's 9 hours of pregame.
But how many people are going to be like, I'm not even watching the Super Bowl this year? We've heard it for the last 2 weeks. Get out of here. What are you really going to do on Sunday? Stop.
What happens when somebody hits the half-court shot and the school doesn't want to pay?
Don't they have an insurance policy for that?
Well, this one's a little sketch. I'm going to kind of go over this story here. And then what exactly was Jordan Hudson wearing? I'm not talking about the dress last night.
There was something else?
There was something else, yeah.
Okay. We'll get into that with a round of shots. And last call coming up at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Josh Allen becomes the third Buffalo Bill ever to win the Most Valuable Player award.
And I know this is an individual award and it says Most Valuable Player on it, but I think it's derived from team success, and I love my team. D-Doc, thank you for presenting. I really appreciate it. We got such a great locker room in Buffalo, and it takes everybody. It truly takes everybody to have team success, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of a great organization.
Allen edging out Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Hockey night tonight in the Flower City as the Amerks host Belleville. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossberg will have your call beginning at 7. It's the only game this weekend for the Amerks. RIT has 2 games at home tonight and tomorrow. Holy Cross is the opponent. Buffalo Sabres on the road at the last game before the break. They're in Nashville tomorrow night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Time to get to shots in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, if you're one that loves Super Bowl Sunday but could do without the 9 hours of pregame.
How many hours of pregame did you say, Gene?
9.
9 times.
Well, sorry, there are really not many alternatives. The NBA, how many games do they have Sunday? Just 3. And only one is going to be on TV, Philadelphia and Milwaukee. That's 2 o'clock on ABC. That game will mark the final broadcast for commentator Hubie Brown, the former coach, now 91 years old.
Jeez, he's still doing games? At 91?
At 91.
Jeez. Good for him. I mean, not for me, but good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
wow.
See how
We
that,
were just talking yesterday about what it might feel like to be 90. Like, what happens when you get to 90? You'd still call NBA games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you could still do it, why not? Super Bowl Sunday, the NHL punted altogether.
Smart.
1 p.m. for Tampa, Montreal Sunday on the NHL Network. Perhaps your best bet is to watch the always fun Waste Management Phoenix Open. Final round coverage from Scottsdale is going to be leading right up to the big game, 3 to 6 Sunday on CBS.
We had a golfer dunk one on 16, the par 3 today. And the name of the golfer escapes me. It crossed my feed, but I saw the shot, and I'm like, oh, that was a shot. And everybody, of course, is going bananas. Just absolutely raucous. I love it.
There's a GoFundMe account that's been set up in Dallas. The purpose of this account is to buy advertising on billboards, criticizing Mavs ownership for the Luka Doncic trade. So far, it's raised $40,000. Dallas returning from their East Coast trip, and they'll play their first home game since the trade. That'll be coming up on Saturday, 3 p.m. against Houston. I mean, what do you expect for the atmosphere
Tell
there?
me you hate money without telling me you hate money. Well, I donated to a billboard campaign so we can tell the Mavs how upset we are. Loser. What are we doing here? Look, I get it. We're fans and we want our team to win. But we don't even know. Like, we don't know what was going on behind the scenes with Luka. What if Luka's a raging alcoholic? I'm not saying he is, but what if he is? What if he can't control himself? What if they just got tired of his act and said, I get it. Even if he is and he's out there dropping 50, he's still a good player. But maybe in their wisdom, they see AD as the guy that can get them to where they want to be. I don't know. Can we let it play out?
I think that's taking a leap of faith in AD at this point of his career. I think it's a lopsided trade. I think it's a little borderline malpractice.
We won't know who won the trade until one of these two teams wins a championship. And the reality is neither of them may win a championship when it's all said and done. So, yes, it's an explosive deal. It's probably the most memorable deal in the history of the NBA. But I want to see it play out before I donate money for a billboard to tell the Mavs, I'm mad at you.
The Brooklyn Nets, file this under things I don't understand. Ready? The Nets are finalizing a buyout with guard Ben Simmons.
He's still a thing?
He's averaged 6.2 points a game, 6.9 assists. He's played in all the 33 games.
How many assists?
6.9.
Oh, that's a nice stat.
33 games with Brooklyn this season, which is the final year of his 5-year, $177 million deal. It was going to become a free agent later this summer, so if he does become a free agent now after the trade deadline, will there be a market? The answer is yes, according to ESPN's Shams Charania. Teams that are interested include the Lakers, the Clippers, Cleveland, and Houston.
Of course. Of course there's a market. Like, this is why I think people are sour on the NBA. We see guys like Like Jimmy Butler, powed his way to a $122 million deal at Golden State. You see this guy who's tissue paper. He's 10-ply. 33 games this year. I mean, how's his body held up through 33 games? I can't believe he's made it this far.
He honestly, there's something wrong with the guy upstairs, and Philly fan figured that out real quick, ran him out of town, and he hasn't done anything in these remaining years in Brooklyn.
5
and now
years,
he's
$177 million to say I can't go tonight. I don't feel up to it. Nah.
Mentally, I'm not in a good space.
Oh God, I can't believe he's still a thing, and he'll get his. That's the thing that's frustrating is he'll get his, and we'll be like, really, that guy? Get him out of here.
Ipe Mizuhara received a 57-month sentence, 3 years of supervised release, was ordered to pay $17 million in restitution to Shohei Ohtani and another $1.1 million fine to the IRS. Feds say that Mizuhara began stealing from Ohtani when he was with the Angels in 2021.
So 57 months. I'm bad at math. That's just under 5 years, right?
Yes.
So
that's good math, Danger.
Thank you. So 3 years of supervised release. I know that this is a lot of money and it's a crime and the feds got involved, but I would love to hear about how we go after the guys that, beat their wives or murder people with their cars when they're drag racing or whatever it might be. Those guys, I know. I say it all the time. The only standard that exists is a double standard. What he did was wrong. I'm not absolving him of his crimes.
Yeah.
But just under 5 years.
Well, how much of this will he actually serve?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, this happened at a UMass women's basketball game. It was actually against St. Bonaventure. And we've all seen these, right? The halftime shooting contest. They invite a student down, make 3 shots, you win $10,000. So the student, his name is Noah, makes the layup, first shot. Shot number 2, foul line. Makes it. Oh, boy. Half-court shot. Beats the buzzer. Yes, Noah wins $10,000.
Congratulations, young man.
But now the insurance company's not going to pay it out.
Oh.
Video showing that Noah's foot was on the half-court line.
Yep.
Sorry. UMass is just trying to make this go away by offering the student free ticket, swag, and $100 you could use at a concession stand. Honestly, Danger, what if they like? Why would they even offer him swag? Your foot was on the line.
You lost, pal. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it was impressive. You got everybody into a fever with your electricity in your halftime, shenanigans. But rules are rules, kid. Sorry.
Now, see,
hit the bricks.
That's the one. There was this story from, this was the NBA in Charlotte. Do you remember this one where, hey, and we're going to give this kid a PS5 or 4, whatever it was, the video. Yay! And then they show him on, and as soon as the camera goes off,
they take it away from him.
Take it away. Like, wait a second. You can't do that.
Right. Yeah, no, these are fun, but especially when you're talking about like sums of cash, like with that's insured, like, oh yeah, the insurance company will pay the $10,000. Oh no, they're going to follow the rules to the letter. You're not going to get over. If your foot was on the line, pal, you're not getting that 10 large. Forget it. Have $100 to use on a hot dog and a beer. Now get out of our way.
Go back to school.
Yeah.
Go back to class.
Yeah.
Finally, many believe that Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, well, she had this big ring. That was one of his Super Bowl rings, right? On the red carpet NFL Honors Show.
She was wearing a ring? I didn't notice.
You might have been looking at other things. She wasn't wearing one of his rings. It was actually her ring from her national championship she earned as a cheerleader with Bridgewater State University.
Fantastic.
Snoop Dogg getting off a jab and his opening monologue. Snoop remembers when the Cowboys were good. He remembers when the Chiefs were bad. And he remembers that Bill Belichick's girlfriend hadn't been born yet.
Oh, where's my guy?
Hi-oh!
Way to go, Snoop. Do you think it's funny that Snoop Dogg is like the pitch man for everything, like this model citizen all of a sudden? Again, only standard that exists is a double standard. But like when he's schlepping cell phones, all I could think about is G's up, hose down. Like all I could think about is some of the filth that he used to spew that made him popular. And I'm guilty. I listen to it and I love it.
Right. Like, this is somebody that...
I'm not a prude. I'm not standing on a Bible and I'm not on a soapbox. But, like, I remember some of the lyrics. I remember Murder Was the Case. I remember all of these things that centered around Snoop Dogg and his lifestyle and his culture. And now it's buy this cell team from T-Mobile or do that. And I'm going to make...
Where do I think this comes from? Who was the person that put Snoop with Martha?
Oh.
See, Martha introduced him to this whole world of making money and doing this and that helped her.
Did they meet each other in prison? I don't know. Were they in prison at the same time? I don't know if Snoop ever went to prison. I'm just making that up. I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's funny. We were laughing about that online a few weeks ago. It's like he's swimming laps at the Olympics and he's become like this ambassador for everything. He's like this American ambassador now, and we got him hosting the NFL honors. And I didn't get to watch the entirety of the show, so I missed that joke. But he took a jab at Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oh! They cut right away to her, and she's laughing. She didn't get all pissy face.
She seems like she's a lot of fun. Wonderful personality, I'm sure.
What did the two talk about over at dinner?
Well, that ring is probably a nice conversation piece.
And what did you do for the cheerleading team?
No anger towards Bill Belichick, none whatsoever. I'm not mad, ticked, not even slightly peeved. They looked like they had a good time last night at NFL Honors. Let's get to last call, 866-4326, if you want the final word in the sports bar before we cut out. We've got Amerks hockey coming up tonight, and, of course, a big game on Sunday. We'll get to all of it next on The Fan.
with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You know what I love about our regulars in the sports bar? They keep us honest. And we have all sorts, all types, really.
Well, sometimes we're just kind of speeding down. We're driving with the emergency brake on sometimes, and appreciate people kind of filling us in on some details.
When the great Gary Craig reaches out to us on X, I've got to acknowledge it. I've got to acknowledge a Rochester legend, okay? And he is actually a credible journalist, unlike us. Well, I'll speak. Gene, you're credible. I have zero credibility.
No, not with the sound effects you're playing.
Well, I'm not. That's a reflection on me. That's not a reflection on you. You distance yourself very, very well from that. He's letting us know that Otani's interpreter will serve 85% of his sentence if he behaves in prison. Thank you for clarifying that for us, Gary, and thank you for listening. We appreciate it. We know we got a couple of guys. When Gary Craig reaches out to us because he's listening to our show and keeping us honest, I've got to acknowledge it.
Is it just me, or when the feds want to move on things, they can move? I mean, that story wasn't even 12 months.
Yep.
Sometimes these things can go on months and years, and it wasn't until last March. Wait a second. What is this all about? Is this actually Shohei and convicted?
Whatever they want out, they will get out. Whatever they want to keep secret, they will keep secret. I mean, the Luka trade is a great example of that. There wasn't anybody talking about a Luka trade. Nobody. How did that get done? When did it get done? Under the cloak of darkness, they got it done, and nobody knew about it. They will get out. Why are we talking about Myles Garrett all week? Because we want to get some action here. We want to get some people talking about it. We want to get some offers. What are we going to get? At least 2 first-rounders. The things that they want to keep private, they will keep private. They're very good at controlling the narrative. When you're talking about the government or these professional sports leagues, they are masters at controlling their narrative.
All right, so my wife is really into the real crime thing. I know we're running out of time here. Did you see the story about the Chiefs reporter who died?
No.
Apparently there's foul play. So Adam Manzaro works for Telemundo, 27 years old, was found dead in his hotel room. A woman was arrested after she was caught using his credit card.
Really?
Yeah.
So in New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
Okay. Well, we can connect some dots, but I'm not going to. I think we can all connect some dots, but maybe best to say, well, we wish he and his family well. Sorry to hear that news. Too young, 27. Man, we got Amerks hockey tonight. Flower hockey night in the Flower City at Blue Cross Arena with Belleville coming in. Feels like a win. And then Sunday, of course, the Super Bowl. We're back to react to all of it on Monday, starting at 3 o'clock. When the Chiefs lose, Jay Binkley will be on with us, and we'll make him sweat. That's a promise.
Yes.
JR Sport Brief next. Enjoy your weekend. The Fan Rochester.